Welcome to A Billion Realities. Here's your host, Jessica Gerlach.
Welcome back to A Billion Realities. Today on the show we have the talented singer, songwriter, rapper, and Canadian Idol finalist, Kaleb Simmonds. Welcome to the show, Kaleb.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well.
Excellent. Thanks for calling in today. I'm so excited to have you on. So
thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for having me on your show, yeah.
So you are where? You're in Canada, but where are you in Canada?
I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Okay, great.
I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's like a 2-hour flight from Toronto, not too far.
You know, when I lived in Toronto, I wanted to go to Nova Scotia, and I never made it out there. I made it all the way west, but I didn't make it east, and I'm still so disappointed. So definitely going to have to make that happen one day.
It's one of the most beautiful spots for tourists. It is.
That's what everybody says.
It's like watching Anne of Green Gables in real life.
Wow, amazing. So you grew up there, right?
I grew up in Nova Scotia, yeah. Halifax and Dartmouth.
What was it like? There's just a buzzing on your line. So every now and then it's just like a little bit of, I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm trying to get a clear connection with you. Hopefully maybe it was on my end. So what was it like growing up there?
Growing up in Nova Scotia, you know, it's like a bit of like a rural area, you know, a little bit of city. It's not too much, you know, where I live. I live in a small city called Halifax, and it's kind of separated by a bridge, and on the other side is Dartmouth. So Halifax and Dartmouth are the two main areas around where I live. And you know, it's pretty interesting. We have a little bit of culture here that's not really like, well, the light's not really shed on it, but there is a deep root in history here. So we have a lot of black communities here, and outside of the black communities, there's just like a city and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, to say like there's a lot of black communities here doesn't sound too interesting, but when you see a lot of tourist promotion and stuff for where I'm from, you'll see like the boats and the fishing and stuff like that, and it doesn't really showcase any of like the lifestyle from the urban perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But it's well and alive and kicking here to the point where Oprah Winfrey covered a episode on her show about the black communities in the east here in the north.
Amazing. Hold on one sec. Sorry, I just have to say, so are you on a wireless phone? Would you be able to go to like a different phone? Because there's just a really loud buzzing sound on your side, just so the audience can hear us.
I don't know. No, I'm on a cordless phone. So sorry.
That's okay. All right. You don't have another one, right? Like a landline? Like with a wire?
Yeah, no, this is a landline, but it's just a cordless. It's buzzing that bad on your end?
it's pretty loud. But, we'll get through it if that's what you got to work with. That's okay. It comes in and out, but that's all good. We'll continue because I'm sure they'll be able to hear us over that. And maybe it'll clear up in a little bit. So, how would you describe your childhood?
My childhood was, it was really rough coming up. I had a mom and dad lived in the same house, but it was a little different. My parents kind of moved out of the black community into like the suburbs, so I went to like pretty much a predominantly white school where there might have been 3 or 4 kids of like ethnic that were in the school. So it was like, coming up, I didn't have a lot to relate to when it came to culture until I started visiting like my parents' side of their family and stuff. And my mom's side was my mom's from the black community called Africville. My father's from another black community called North Preston, which are two pretty big black communities coming out of Nova Scotia.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty difficult. Never had a lot of money all the time. Poverty hit us. Hard-working father. He drove the bus. Once he met my mom, before he met my mom, he was doing his thing, hustling and making ends meet by however he could do it. So it was pretty rough. Struggling and just trying to make ends meet, working on my craft as a musician as a young man. But I started pretty young.
Right, that's okay. So I'm so sorry to interrupt again, but is there any way you can maybe stand by the dock for the phone? Maybe it won't be, if you're close to it, it might sound better. It's just pretty loud.
Is that better?
It's still buzzing.
That's a big
it
buzz.
Happens. Yeah, sometimes, we're all calling from different places in the world, so it does happen from time to time. But I think if you stay by the dock of the phone, it might be better reception. So.
Okay, I'm going to go try to sit down by the dock of the bay.
There you go. You can sing for us while you make your way over there.
Exactly. Just watching the time roll away. Yeah.
Wow. You're amazing. You have a great voice. So talented.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So would you say that singing has been a part of your entire life? Like, what's the earliest memory you have of singing?
My earliest memory I have of singing was probably, this is how it all started, Jess. I'll tell you the story. Just let me know, is it coming in a little clearer now?
You know what? It's perfect now. Thank you so much. I hear it's
really?
Totally clear.
All right. So, just give me 2 seconds. It all started off, my cousin was a dancer. He used to come to my house a lot, and he would spend time with us, and he liked to do hair. He was a hairdresser. Like, he was gifted with braiding and putting in hair pieces in the black community and stuff like that. So he would always come to my house, and when he would come to my house, he would, start to dance, and we would put on, like, the music channel and play music, and he would be dancing and going on, and I'd be just watching him and kind of idolizing that he could do something so cool. And, he kept coming to my house, and we'd start doing dance routines, and I just wished I could dance as good as him.
Aww.
Long story short, I was probably around, 5, 6. I was around 6.
Oh, you're really little. Okay.
So he's like a super close friend of the family, so the more he starts coming over, he's playing these songs. Now he's playing slower music, so he can't really dance to that. But he's playing these slower songs, and singing them. And once again, I start idolizing him again. I'm like, man, I wish I could become that. Like, I want to do this. I want to do this. So I was kind of shy at the time, and then kind of came out of my bubble, and, we started, like, singing songs together. Like, we started singing songs from Mariah Carey's first album, Emotions, like old stuff like that. Stuff that our parents put us on, too. So then, so what happened from there is, like, I started singing more and more after I would practice songs. And then when he would come back to visit, it was like I would have, like, a song, and he'd be like, whoa. So, that's what kind of sparked my whole inspiration just to sing and really, want to be a musician like that, right? You there? You follow? Hey, Jess?
I can hear you, but you just got to stay close to the dock, I think. I don't know if you are, but I think it's better now. It's in and out.
Okay, shoot. Yeah.
Stay as close to it as possible.
Okay. Let's see if I can get rid of that. So,
wherever you are right now, definitely stay there. Please. That's better.
Okay. Yeah, so from that point, like, I was really sparked by motivation by my cousin Damon Carvery, and he used to come and really, like, inspire me to sing. So what happened is I learned the song End of the Road from Boys to Men, and I'm at my aunt's house, and this is like a small black community, really tight-knit, and she hears me practicing the Boys to Men song after I'm so inspired from my cousin. So I just take it to my room and, I just start working on it myself. So my aunt heard me practicing, and she walks by the room and she was like, what the hell is that? She's like, I need to hear more of that. She was like, boy, you can sing like that? And I was like, yeah. So she runs out of the room. And next door, they have a hair show going on outside. The microphone's set up, and they got models modeling hairstyles and stuff. And she runs up to them, and she says, my nephew can sing. So the guy's like, okay, well, let's hear him. She calls me out of the house, and I'm in the room, like, in the middle of practicing Boys to Men, End of the Road, being dragged outside to sing in front of people. Very first time singing, I'm about 7. And I just go out and I start singing. There's about, I say, 15 to 20 people in front of me. I'm at a podium, and I'm just singing. And halfway through the song, people just start coming down the street. And it's like a one-way street, and it's at the end of the road, like literally, like ironic. I'm singing End of the Road at the end of the road. And I'm just singing the song, and, like, a lot of people start coming down the street. So by the time I'm done singing this song, there's about 100 people there opposed to, like, the 20 that were there when I started. So I guess people must have just been getting on the phones, like, spreading the word I was singing. And, me seeing that as, like, a 7-year-old kid, the impact that, my voice had on humans and stuff, like, really just inspired me to share the gift of my voice with the world.
So let me ask you this. How did it make you feel to sing in front of all those people? Were you nervous? I mean, you were so little. So, or was it just exhilarating?
I just had a sense of empowerment. Like, I wasn't nervous because I had built a level of confidence within inside of myself. Like, I knew what I was capable of. So it was just, it was just like a really powerful feeling at a young age, being able to have that effect on people, to really move them emotionally. And noticing that as a 7-year-old, it was different.
I bet. That's pretty powerful. That experience sounds just very powerful for a child. And to feel empowered at that age after kind of all the challenges that you faced, early on in your childhood, that must have been a really amazing feeling to feel empowered and that you had it within you. So would you say that singing would you say that singing got you through some of the rough times that you experienced early on?
Yeah, definitely, because when I first started to sing, how I taught myself to sing was through gospel music. So not only was I learning how to sing at a high level of like black artistry, because gospel is like that's where the real soul and that kick is. So learning like the American gospel songs and singing that, it just trained me to be like a different beast when it came to singing.
Wow. Yeah, I bet. My grandmother used to go to a church where, and I went with her as a kid, that there was a lot of gospel, music and singing, and it was just outstanding for me as a kid to be around that and to hear it, because the first church I had been to, it wasn't like that. So I loved it. Everybody got so into it. It was just like really high vibes.
You don't even have to be religious, but like the feeling that it gives you is like it's a nice warm feeling regardless, you know what I mean? So
it is.
That's kind of where I got like the real push and want to sing. You know what, Jess? Is that all right if I call you Jess or
of course. No, everybody calls me Jess.
What's so funny is like, okay, like I learned through singing gospel songs, and I really remember when I was young, I would practice songs, and once I started to learn them and like, get them together, like the gospel songs, I would sing them and literally like start crying and bawling, like listening to myself sing them and convey them. So, and this is like really like I said, like the deep like black gospel. There's a lot of key artists like John P. Key, Smokey Norm Foles, but like really crazy singers. And once I learned those songs, it would just touch me so hard when I would actually sing them. Right?
That's powerful. Yeah. That shows the spirituality that you have in you and how in tune you are to energy, right? Because those are just really powerful moments, and then you being able to tap into that and sing that way, it's special. Yeah. So what brought you out of Nova Scotia? So how long were you there?
I was in Nova Scotia for a bit. I was raised there as a kid. By the time I was a teenager, I was just getting ready to, learn how to beatbox and do all that stuff. And when I was doing that, I started doing shows at like little clubs and things like that. So after my teenage years, I kind of headed out of Nova Scotia.
Okay. You still there? Did I lose you, Kaleb?
Hello?
Hi. I thought I lost you. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Just stay close to your dog. So as a teenager, you left Nova Scotia. Where did you go?
I ended up going to Toronto. I was doing a little bit of stuff on the movie set, and I ended up working with a label. I started a label after I did Canadian Idol. I did Canadian Idol and then started a label and got caught up in some mess.
Okay, hold on. Let's backtrack a little bit. So let's talk about Canadian Idol, since that was before the So you went on Canadian before you opened your label, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that come about, the whole Canadian Idol story? Because that's super interesting. We need to hear about that.
2004. Okay, so I was on Canadian Idol 2004, and times were like pure shit for me. Am I allowed to say that? No.
Of course. It's not.
Times were hell. Times were horrible. Like, you know, the real struggle and pain didn't come till like the later years. You know, like dysfunctional kid, had issues with the family at home growing up. But like before I went to Canadian Idol, the power was cut off at my house. We lived in a duplex. The power was out. The water was out. And the pipes had busted in February. It was really cold out. So I'm in a house by myself. The rest of the family's moved out. I'm the last one in the house, and the house is just gone. I'm literally stepping over frozen water in the hallway, waking up out of bed. You know, it's dark in the hallways, lighting candles, the whole 9 yards. So this is my out right before Canadian Idol. So I have a close friend of mine. His name is Willie McPherson. He comes to visit me, and he comes to my house, and you know, we're enjoying some nice fine herbs, and just sitting there and chatting over a candle. It's like candlelight, smoking a spliff, and I was chatting with him, and he just has this face on me. I could see it on him that like it was breaking him down to see me in the condition I was in, where I was at, and shit. So he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Canadian Idol comes here for auditions tomorrow," and I'm like, "Man, I don't know if I'm really down to do that." Because, you know, when I saw Canadian Idol on TV, it was really, you know, it just looked corny, super corny. And I just, you know, I was like, no, I don't think I'm in the mood to attempt to, like, you know, get into that corny vibe.
I hear you. It's definitely not, you know, rap
and the thought
or
crossed my
hip-hop
mind,
thing.
but I was like, yeah, like the thought crossed my mind, but I was still like, no. You know, I really need to be, like, pushed into, like, I need to be pushed in to gear to, like, you know, if someone's trying to put a target at me, you know. And, you know, he was persistent. I said no. And I said, no, I can't really do that. Like, I'm a singer. And he was like, look at the condition, like, that you're in right now. He's like, what the fuck do you have to lose?
Wow.
He's look
That's
around
a good point.
you, man. He's like, I'm not going to accept that for an answer. So, you know, he said, I'm going to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to pick you up, and I want you to be ready, have something nice to wear, and I'm going to drive you to the Metro Center. Now, the Metro Center is like a big arena, like where they hold concerts and stuff. That's where they had Canadian Idol tryouts. So he said, I'm going to bring you down there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, woke up the next morning, he drove me down, and I waited, and I auditioned. And then they told me to come back the next day and do some more auditions. They were loving me. You know, I was going in singing like, you know, I had the eclectic catalog. Like, I walked in and sang, like, A Whole New World from Aladdin to them, and they were like, whoa.
That's incredible.
This guy's pretty crazy. I was rocking, like, the blue, like, Nike bandana upside down with, like, the plaid shirt buttoned open with, like, another T-shirt under it with the curls over the. It was just, like, it was crazy. It was a mess. So, and I come in singing like A Whole New World. I went from singing A Whole New World to Oh Holy Night. So what I was doing is I was getting these songs together that could really showcase my range and, me when I'm in my most fierce mode of, like, singing. And those were the songs. So I made it through.
Incredible.
Yeah. So I brought the golden ticket back home. So, at this time I'm living in this house with no power, no water. I tell the family, I'm like, yo, I went to go audition for Idol. They didn't even know I went to audition, and I made it. And, with that, it was really exciting. And I got on the show, and I think I
Hold
did
on.
that.
I want to back up for a second. What was that moment like? That must have been insane. Like, you just left your house where obviously everything's been shut off, and now you go
Right.
take a chance on something that you didn't even feel comfortable completely doing, but you did it anyway. Just a side note, right, audience? Like, that's like, take your opportunities. You never know where they're going to lead. You're a perfect example. But what was that moment like, getting this golden ticket? Were you surprised?
Yeah, I think I cried. It was literally like an emotional moment for me. Like, it had me, like, a little bit messed up. Because, imagine being in a dark house, like 15, 16 years old, and the rest of your family's moved out, like, really, like, at your lowest point. And I went from that to being told, yes, we're going to accept you. It was like,
That's amazing.
it was like the best thing in the world for me.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so now we can skip forward now. I just wanted to know, what that felt like for you, because imagining it to me is just, like, wow. But so you go back, you tell your family, and what's their reaction?
Yeah, they're like crazy, so they can't even believe that that's what's going on right now, because, everybody moved out of the house because they had, like, stuff going on in their life, And, but the thing about it is my sister had warned me that I was going to be, like, this sensation on television and stuff months prior. Now, my sister, she has, like, a little bit of, like, not the sixth sense, but we kind of call her the oracle, because she'll just, like, she'll tell you shit, she'll say something, and, like, you won't get it, and you'll think that she's tripping, but, like, it'll come to pass later. So
wow.
she told me she was in the hospital, for some mental health issues at the time. Like, she ended up having a dream while she was in the hospital that I was, like, on TV and I was pretty much famous. She was like, "You're going to be famous." She's like, "I told everybody in the hospital that you're going to be a big superstar, and the whole world's going to be watching you." And
wow.
I didn't believe her at the point where, like, it was to the point where she was like, "No." She's like, "I had a dream last night." And she was like, "I had a dream." She was like, "Did you cut your finger?" And I was like, "Yeah, I cut my finger last night." She was like, "Well, I woke up," and she was like, "I was squirting blood out of my finger on everybody's room." No, in my dream. She was like, "In my dream, I was squirting my blood from my finger on people's door, and I was telling them my brother was going to be, like, famous. He was going to be, like, on TV." And that's how she explained it to me. So I was like, this is kind of weird, because I actually cut my finger the night before, and she just,
Oh my
like,
God.
it was just kind of like a little bit of a synchronicity. So then I took her word for it, and then yeah, I got that golden ticket, and I ended up, like, on TV, on Idol, kicking ass. I made it the top 7. I got to share the stage with Lionel Richie, Gordon Lightfoot, and, work with the amazing judges. So it was pretty crazy.
That must have been such an insane feeling for you after
it was
all
surreal.
Mhm.
It was surreal, and I know your show, you talk about like spiritual stuff and healing stuff like that. And when I went to do the show, like I told you, I brought a quartz crystal with me when I flew into Toronto, and it was like, and I had never had like a crystal before, but this white quartz crystal, it was like, it was vibrating in my hand, and I would just come out on stage and like hold that really tight before I would start singing and sing and just take it home.
Wow. Do you feel like you've always been a spiritually inclined person, connected, or did that more so happen to you later?
Yeah. I always was spiritual. I always was, but I knew people like had like powers and stuff, you know, when I was young, but I didn't know that we could exercise them until my sister started telling me about the pendulum.
Wow.
Because one day she comes to me and she puts like a crystal on the end of a string, and she was like, "Look, your eyes can move this crystal on the end of the string." She was moving her eyes up and down, and the string was moving back and forth. And I was like so amused. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then, so one day I was sad because a friend had passed away, and I was looking out of the sunroof of my dad's car, and something told me to open up the sky, like open up the clouds with the pendulum. So my brain just went back to when my sister was like teaching me about how you could get the string to move with your eyes being raised up and down, and it would move like a pendulum. So one day something was telling me to use the pendulum like to open the clouds in the sky, and I started lifting my eyes up and down, and the clouds started opening. So that's when, and they started opening really fast. So that's when I became like spiritual. When I realized that like we actually have a little bit of like we have not power like in a big sense, I guess, but I mean like we have an effect on what's happening around us for sure. If we
our energy, yes, our energy affects our reality, absolutely. Yeah. So do our thoughts. You know, we use the pendulum.
Yeah, so I was like 10 or 11 that's when I became spiritual. When I did that and I figured that out, that we weren't just like, you know, walking around doing whatever.
That's pretty young.
Yeah.
You know, to have that type of awakening, like that type of acknowledgement that, you know, our energy and our thoughts can affect our reality. That's a really young age to have that type of awakening. And I know awakenings don't just happen once and then, you know, it's an evolutionary process, I guess you could say.
Well, I'll tell you, it's young, but it made the rest of my life really fun.
Beautiful.
Just being able to like think from that perspective and you know, see things from that perspective.
I agree.
Right?
Do you think that it helped you in your journey in your singing career and your life? Right.
Yeah, it helped shape me. It helped shape my character and my warmness, my sense of communication with others. Because you know, the less that you know, the less things that you know that are happening around you, it's like you're a little bit more colder to everyone around you. I feel like, I don't know. That may not be true, but I feel like it's just like that for me. Like, well, I was a lot, in a sense, the best way to explain it is like, I was a lot more ignorant to everything and everybody before I started understanding, you know, as I grew, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes complete sense. And, you know, you can only speak from your own experience and your perspective. So that's your truth, you know, and I think that's amazing. You know, you realize when you do become more aware, especially of energy, it does make you interact and view the world very, very differently, and relationships and people, all of those dynamics. Would you say that some of the early challenges that you faced were sort of been like the driving force behind your ambition?
Some of the what that I faced were like what?
Some of the challenges that you faced early on in your life, was that partially the driving force behind how ambitious you became?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the struggle. That
That's what I
made me
mean.
want. That made me. That made me have the heart of a breadwinner. I wanted to just. I wanted to get my family out of what we all experienced at that time when I was young.
Makes sense.
Crazy struggle. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it wasn't. We didn't live in like no crazy neighborhood where there was like no gang banging and no extra stuff like that. But it was like, simply like trying to make ends meet. And my dad was a wildcat, and he was out and about, and there just wasn't a lot of money in the house. So
Well, growing up with the feeling of lack is really tough on a child. Absolutely.
Yeah. No,
I think you're getting further away from your dad because you're buzzing. Sorry. Okay, now it's clear. We're clear. Yeah, it's much better now. I'll remind you if it gets to if it starts buzzing again. So, how would you say that being on Canadian Idol changed you as a person?
Canadian Idol changed me as an individual because it opened my eyes up to how entertainment works, on television, working on shows, and I got a greater understanding of like work ethic and all that great stuff, and performing and all that stuff. Because up to that point, I just sang, went up on stage and sang a cappella a lot of times. It wasn't real structure, so on Canadian Idol really gave me structure. And mind you, we did like 8-hour seminars learning about the music industry and different things that were going on. So, yeah, it was a big learning experience for me at a young age.
Incredible. And what was the accommodation like going from, your house where everything was shut down? Did they have you staying in a nice place? Was it comfortable?
Yeah, we were in a Sky Dome at first when we auditioned, when I got the golden ticket and went to Toronto. And then that was, I don't know, I think that must have been like 5,000 kids had to like pretty much battle it out to get to the televised show, to the top 12. I made it through to the top 12 through all the auditions after the golden ticket, and then they moved us into the mansion on the bridle path for the televised show.
Wow. Didn't you say that was Rachel McAdams' house or something?
Yeah, well, the movie Mean Girls, it was the meanie girl on that movie. It was the house that she lived in.
Yep, that's her. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, so we were living in there. It was like a block from Prince's house. I remember I used to jog by Prince's house just like yelling, being like, "Man, I can't believe I'm outside of Prince's house jogging." Like on some stalker shit. I was like, "Yeah, just keep going."
That must have been a trip, like.
No, it was a big trip. You want to know why? Because I asked Idol. They were like, "What would be your number one song to sing if you what would be your number one song to sing if you could sing your best song that could pretty much showcase your voice the best?" And I said, Prince, When Doves Cry. So they called to get it they called to get the Prince song cleared, and Prince himself wouldn't clear it, so I could sing it on Idol. And fast forward 3 weeks later, I'm jogging by his house.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, but I didn't get to sing.
Oh, okay. So what happened after Idol? Once all of that wrapped up, what was your next move?
After Canadian Idol, I was really tired. We had like 15-hour days, man. We would wake up at like 6, be out the door at like 7, and we would have rehearsal at 12. They would have us doing like media stuff, and just prepping for the show, and going over a bunch of different little things. Like we would be back to the house at the mansion at around 11 at night, and then have to practice our songs for the morning. It was crazy, and that went on for like 4 months, because I was on the show for 4 months.
Wow, that's a long time, actually. I don't think people watching the show realize
it's a
how
process,
long that's going
right?
on behind the scenes. What's that?
A process. It's a process. They only air so much of the show, and it takes so long to do all the eliminations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I see is like totally different from what the viewers would see. Like, it takes so much time to put that package up. And that's what I mean. That's what it was like. That the experience was seeing how they run a show from the insides. It was, like, crazy at a young age to see. Like, I'm literally watching for those reasons, like how they're running the show, and, how they need this at that certain time, and this has to coordinate with this. It was just really, really insane. So.
Wow. So what did you do after the show was finished?
Came back home and slept for about 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
And my body was exhausted. I would wake up 3 and 4 times a day for probably like 2 hours and go back to sleep when I flew home. I got booted off. I don't like to say booted off. I got voted off like the week of Lionel Richie. So I got to meet Lionel Richie and perform with him on stage. And then that's when I got voted off. And then I came home. I was good to go after I met Lionel Richie.
I love Lionel Richie, first of all. My mom used to listen to him all the time. Yeah, he's a legend.
Easy like Sunday morning.
One of my favorites.
You know how Lionel does it.
You're right up there with him.
Yeah, no, Lionel's tough.
Yeah. So all of this is going on. So you go back and sleep. What are your next career moves after that?
I didn't know. I had no idea. They just told me. I was just told, because my cousin that pretty much motivated me and inspired me to sing. He was up there in the crowds and stuff like that. And then he's like, yeah, you got to strike while the iron's hot. You were just on TV. The whole world was watching you. He was like, do your thing. So I came home, and I knew I had to make music, but I just had to line the elements up in order to get it going. And, a brother of mine, who I actually ended up starting a label with, he comes and he visits me. Like, he literally, like, wakes me, like, he knocks on my door. He's like, is Kaleb there? My mom's like, yeah, he's upstairs. I'm sleeping, trying to catch up from Idol. And he just walks in, and he wakes me up, and he's like, yo. And I'm like, what? He was like, you have 2 choices in life. He was like, you can be owned or you can be an owner. He's like, what do you want to be? He's like, do you want to be an owner or do you want to be owned? And I was like, I want to be an owner, man. He's like, all right, you can go back to sleep. He was like, I'll be back Monday morning. We're going to go register our company and start a music label. I was like, okay.
Oh, so wow.
That was my next move from Idol. So we did that, and we had a young success with it. This was back when Music World and Sam the Record Man's was still selling records off the shelves and stuff, and we put out projects and we were just selling them and selling them. We did consignment around Canada and they were selling. And we were getting checks and we were like, damn, like we're doing this by ourselves. And we picked up speed, made a little bit of noise. Some people heard about it in Toronto, and then they wanted to fly us to Toronto to work with some bigger artists and stuff like that. And that's when shit got hectic.
Okay, hectic. How? Tell us.
So, my homeboy that's like, yo, do you want to be an owner or do you want to be owned? We started the label and created a mixtape, and we created an album. With the album, we were supposed to take to Toronto, and then we did that. But what happened is these cats from Toronto heard the project, and they were like, yo, we want to fly you to Toronto and work with Ghostface Killer and work with this cat and that cat. It was like, I think he was like a 5%er dude, so we just automatically believed him, right? And so he booked me and my label tickets to come to Toronto, and we end up getting literally like pulled off of the airplane by the airport police when the plane lands. And they're like, yeah, the card that you guys ordered your plane ticket off was done on fraud or whatever. So we were like, man, we already knew who it was. It was the guy that was trying to get us up there. So we were like, man. So we had to do court and stuff in Toronto for some shit we didn't do. And it kind of just like stifled us. But while I'm there doing court, we get a lawyer to get us off. I end up talking to Maestro Fresh West because I know Maestro, and he's calling me, and I'm like ashamed to tell him like, yo, I ended up getting like in trouble with the law or whatever, and I just kept it on the hush hush. But I told him I was in Toronto, and he hooked me up with a big producer in Toronto named Too Rude, and he had like big records and stuff like that. So that was kind of a blessing in like a bad situation. And I wrote my first big record that I shot a video for that was aired on Much Music. Much Music is like the MTV of Canada, kind of.
I remember. I lived there for 10 years. So yeah. I met Maestro, actually. He's pretty close with one of my business partners and one of my best friends. So he's a good guy.
Yes.
Very humble, very good guy.
He kind of gave me the co-sign on my first video. It was with Black Union. There's a record called Africville. But yeah, that was kind of dope of him. Yeah, he's a real good people. Shout out to Maestro. Shout out to Too Rude. Maestro hooked me up with Too Rude.
Awesome, definitely. So I haven't met Too Rude, but so how did that go? I heard that song, by the way. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's a cultural song, It really just got into detail of like, the issue of my mom's birthplace called Africville, how when I said my mom and my dad were from two different separate black communities, the video that I shot with Maestro was about the story of that community that was, all the houses were bulldozed down by like the city and shit like that. So we just kind of shed light on the story. So it was like a little bit of a tearjerker.
Yep, I saw that. I mean, I heard that. I watched the video as well. Actually, Andrew's the one who sent me the link, told me to search it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really amazing.
Thank you.
So then what?
Everything was just moving peachy and creamy from there. That's when I met up with Andrew. So me and Andrew used to go to the same, not elementary, like middle grade school and high school, and, we lost connection. We didn't really hang in the school, but, like, after I met Too Rude in Toronto, he was in Toronto, so we started, like, kicking it in Toronto. because we were from the same city. You know, it just made sense.
Cool.
And yeah, we were cool. So like that's kind of where Andrew came into the picture. And he was like, we actually like started linking up over the mutual understanding that Gucci Mane was like our favorite rapper at that time.
Wow,
And,
nice.
So like, I think he might have posted something about Gucci Mane, and it was like one of my favorite funny videos of Gucci Mane, and I just messaged him and I was like, "You love Gucci Mane?" I was like, "He's the man." Andrew was like, "Yeah, Gucci's all that." And I was like, "Yeah, want to smoke?" He was like, "Yeah." He was in Toronto, so we linked up. I bring him to the studio, and Andrew's just soaking up game like a sponge. You know, he's watching us do some recording, and you know, this is when I'm working with Too Rude, and he had big records with Glenn Lewis. Glenn Lewis was signed by the Byers Brothers, that's Raven Simone's managers, and he worked with a lot of heavy hitters in Toronto and stuff. Cardinal, Socrates,
Wow.
Bob, Estero. Like he had a nice little track list. So yeah, like, you know, Andrew was there while I was, because I got put into that situation through Maestro, and me and Andrew reconnected in Toronto, so I kind of just like shared the experience, you know, music, and we're from the same city, kick it with me, and that's where we were at. So Andrew kind of, while he was learning, he was like taking me to the gym and stuff and getting me like prepped up and ready, you know, because I was a little bit heavier back then.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's just when me and him got really close and started working on different projects together.
Okay, so would you say that part of your like journey, spiritual awakening, made you to like start attracting like-minded people who are kind of similar to you, vibrating at the same frequency type of thing?
Yeah, but I was always like really tuned in. Like I always, like, I knew there was monsters since I was like 4, and it was deeper than just being like seeing shit on TV and being like, yo, there's monsters. No, I knew there were monsters, like, really? Since I was 5.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And when I thought about it, I would never think about like the monsters on TV. I just knew there was just some uglier shit going on.
Wow.
And
okay.
you know, so like, I knew my purpose and I knew what I was doing. I knew I had to sing because I knew I had to like regulate people's emotions to get spirits on the earth more humble.
Wow.
Right? There's something about something that happens like when I actually really, really sing that like humbles people. Like no matter how many people they killed or how many people they told to F off or who do, you know what I mean? It's just something that I'm aware of because I watch the effect a lot of times. So
that's beautiful.
You know, when I met Andrew, I just always knew he was bright.
Right. He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like just gleaming, right? So and even if you ask him, like, he would tell you, like, I used to like just like tease him and like pull him, because I just pull him to the side in school and just like never really spend time with him, but just like shock him and be like, yo, bro, like, you're the real one, like, you're the real guy, like, you know what I mean? You got the, you know what I mean? We used to call him Little Method Man because he reminded me of Method Man from Wu-Tang. Swear, no joke. Like me
That's
and the
amazing.
guys in the hallways, we'd be like, oh, there's Lil Meth. And, you know, like, he would come up to me and spit raps to me and stuff like that, but I guess I wasn't really catching it. Because I would have took him under the wing, and we would have been running laps around the rap game years ago.
You know what?
You know?
Divine timing. I think you guys probably came together at the right time, and I think it's so cool that he helped you with your fitness as well and your health. You know, getting you to like a stronger place within yourself, within your health. So how did all that come about?
Well, say that again. Like with the house.
You said no with your health. Like he started training you, right? So he obviously wanted you to get stronger, right? He was.
Oh no. He pretty much like. My dad taught me how to jog when I was young, but I started putting weight on and shit when I was like, when I was coming out of my teen years. Like I had like that baby fat they called it.
Yeah.
And like Andrew he got me in the gym with Too Rude. He would drive us to the gym, and we would go work out, and he would see how hard I was going, but I was like heavier, and he was like, "Holy fuck." So he just realized that it was just a matter of me going and getting him, like, showing me what I had to do. So once we did that, then I pretty much, like, turned myself to, like, not like a machine, but, like, I really turned my leaf over really fast and showed, like, a lot of heart and shit.
Wow, that's amazing. So you guys really supported each other on many different levels. So what kind of impact have you guys had on each other's lives?
Well, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be okay. Literally.
Oh.
Even from when I met him back in Toronto, like again, like after school and shit, like he literally I don't know if, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's aware of it, but, like, he's consciously aware of how much he pushes me to get this voice to where it has to go to heal people. And I think that's how he sees it, and I think he knows it. Like, we don't talk about that, but, like, the same thing I'm telling you about, like, what happens, like, when I really sing. Like, he understands that, so he's, like, he feels like, he always used to just tell me, man, I don't care. I just want to get you to a point where the world actually can fucking hear you and hear this like the way I'm hearing it. Like they need it.
That's incredible.
So that's the kind of push, And this is coming from him. Like at the same time where like a lot of the closest people around me are literally like giving me like negative input, negative feedback, negative energy, just acting like way out of order in terms of knowing that like my character, like, I'm usually humble and loving like 98% of the time unless I'm like super violated, or then I'll just get quiet.
Wow.
So Andrew just kind of brought all of that out. In a
That's
time
amazing.
where I kind of needed it.
That's so important to have that type of support and, the friendship that you guys have and the support in the personal life, but you also are such a great, duo. Like, you guys just work so well together clearly, because look at the music that you're putting out. I've sent it to a few people aside from what I post on social media, and they're just like, that is dope. That's what they
I really appreciate it. No, we're really focusing on the science of like, making some great music that will be able to last the test of time.
Beautiful.
Phil Collins is one of my favorite artists. Phil Collins and the Cranberries. So we really like. You can hear our music and hear R&B or rap, and you'll never know that, like, a lot of the times, like, we're inspired by, like, some shit you'd never ever believe.
I love that. That's so cool.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's a beauty in that.
Definitely.
There's a beauty in that, because at the same time, when people think they're listening to R&B or rap or, jazz or even, say, rock, it could be literally inspired by, like, something that you think that you're not listening to.
Absolutely. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So we know everyone has their like personal strengths and weaknesses, right? So what are your strengths and what are Andrew's that make you two work so well together?
He's like a general. he runs he runs his ship like he runs his camp like an army, and I'm like the free spirited like hippie with the like suspenders on, like just living life like, you know what I mean? So like we're the polar opposite. That's what he always says, and that's how things kind of work the best. You know, like he's really structured and really, you know, and I'm like just kind of like sporadic and like, you know, really random and like, you know, like just crazy. But like he's been like being around him, you know, like what he does kind of rubs off on me, and he's kind of been teaching me, you know, how to like clean up my unorganization from various aspects of my life. Clean that shit up in a better way, you know, and so,
That's
you know,
great.
hanging around him, I kind of morphed myself more into like they always used to tell me like I gotta have to pull my pants up, and this is just like an example. Like they're like, Kaleb, like you can't be an artist and your pants be hanging down. Like you gotta pull your pants up. You can't. It's not possible, Kaleb. And Andrew would just be like, yo. It's never going to happen. You can't do that. And always be on me about that. And, you know, and just always trying to make me be a more clean, sharper, on point when it comes to appearance and everything like that. So
I think that's great. You guys have this, you know, the qualities that you have that work well together, and everybody has their weaknesses. Doesn't matter who you are. And it just sounds like you guys have such a balance. You know, I'm sure you help him with things, and we'll hear from him when he calls in soon. And obviously we've just heard about what he helps you with, and it just sounds like, you know, synergy all around.
Yeah.
I love it. And, you know, it's pretty common to have one person who's more free-spirited in a dynamic and the other person who's more controlled and more disciplined in some type of ways, you know?
Well, what happened is we taught each other both of our strengths just by, like, you know, seeing it off of each other by hanging around. Like, a lot of times I would be the person that would go, like, pull people in and then make Andrew talk to them. And, then, like, you know what I mean? He'd be like, man, like, fuck, you're just pulling people to the side and talking to them and you don't even know them. And this was, like, years ago because we used to do Hollywood movies. We were on, like, a few movies and, like, series and stuff, doing some acting shit, background shit, some stand-in shit. And we literally would play the movie set like good cop, bad cop, like networking. And I would, like, grab people and, like, we would just, like, sit there and talk to them and, you know, tell them about ourselves. And I don't know, it was just like a little system we had, how we worked together in terms of like getting people interested in who we were as individuals and characters that are about to come. You know, really show the music industry what's going on. The bond between real two is still really having a great impact.
You're buzzing.
Art.
You're buzzing really
sorry,
loud again. It's okay.
Let me get closer to that. Let me get closer to my dreams over here.
Exactly.
So like that's, you know, we're gonna really have a big impact when it comes to music and art.
You already are, and it's just starting, which is so incredible. You guys have done so much in such a short amount of time. It's like a year and a half that you guys are really going at it as a team, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I was agreeing.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you about this. I know you did some traveling, and I know that traveling is one of those things that really builds character and gives us so much experience. So when was your first time out of the country, and what was that like?
First time out of the country was going to Germany to they had heard the Lion King beatbox, and they wanted to do a record with me, so I wrote a record for some people in Germany, and then I went over pretty big. They picked that up, went to radio, went to the clubs, so they wanted to shoot the video for it, so they flew me out there, and then we did the video. It was pretty dope. It was pretty big. But it just messed my mind up because I flew for so long. It's the first time I did a big flight like that, so shout out to overseas with them long-ass flights.
Definitely. I feel you on that because I'm in Serbia.
Yeah, it's crazy over that ocean. The next time I went away was to Morocco, North Africa. They kept asking me to come because, once again, they saw the Lion King beatbox. For any of you that don't know, I'm a beatboxer and singer and rapper and all of that stuff, but I mostly sing and beatbox. And with that being said, I redid the Lion King beatbox from the Lion King soundtrack, and it went viral on YouTube.
Okay, can you do some for us today?
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Yeah, and y'all catch that?
Amazing. Oh, my God. I can't believe I haven't heard that. I didn't know about that, the viral video.
Yeah. So, that was, just 1 sec, okay?
Yeah, of course. You there?
Hello? Yeah, sorry.
Hi. Okay. That's all right. Somebody was calling in. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't Andrew, but I lost the call anyway, and it wasn't him. He's going to call at 7. He's going to call in 20 minutes. Okay, so back up to the viral video. So it went viral, and that's what brought you to Morocco.
Yeah, like every time people are just messaging me off of this Lion King beatbox video. So, this lady from Morocco ended up messaging me. She was like, "We want to have you to Morocco. I hear your beatbox video." She was like, "I would like you to come and sing." And I was like, I checked her profile picture. It was like a picture of like a tree or something, like a palm tree. And I was like, I don't know. I said, no, I think I'll sit this one out. She kept bothering me. She was like, you must come to Morocco. The people will love you here. So I was like, man, holy smokes. And then my boy ends up telling me that Morocco was, it used to be like connected to Nova Scotia, which is the province that I'm from. And this is during Pangea. So he tells me that a professor from the university close to me did a study on where my province used to be connected to North Africa. So I'm mind blown because I'm really big on culture. So I'm like, I hit the woman back. I'm like, I'm coming. I was like, I just found out that Morocco's in Africa because I'm not really big on geography. I didn't know. Sorry. But I didn't know where Morocco was. I hadn't really even heard of Morocco. And because I didn't know, and that's one of the part of the reason why I kept telling her no. So then I hit her back, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I just came to find out that, Morocco has some deep history, and I want to come and check it out. So I went, and it was really different and scary in terms of culture when I got there. But
how so?
Well, even just going through the airports, there were UN soldiers with like AK-47s. I wasn't used to that. I never saw that in our airports. I didn't know what was going on, and the city was like, I flew to Casablanca. And it was like, that's where they shot that movie at. Like, Casablanca, I don't know. If you ever saw the movie City of Gods in the beginning where, like, the kid's, like, running through, like,
I love that
he's
movie.
He's running through all the houses. They're all stuck together and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what it was kind of like. Like, what I'm used to seeing in terms of, like, structure of land and houses was nothing like that. So it was like, I was fearful. I didn't know what was going on in them alleyways and all those houses stuck together. I didn't know if it was crime. It was all foreign to me. So, but the more I learned the culture, it was mostly Muslim culture, and it was more than love. It was more than humbleness. It was more than like enough experience to like change my view of anything that I've ever been shown of Africa on TV and stuff. So, I felt like that was a gift in itself.
Wow. That's amazing. So how did that all transpire? While you were there?
I ended up like singing for the king's family of Morocco. I sang for the president of Africa. His name is Zachariah. And him and his wife were dancing at a function called Hub Africa. This is where all the like big politicians of like North, South, and East and West Africa get together to talk about how they're going to do business together for the economy and incorporate the North with the economy. Have the North incorporate the South and the East and the West with the economy, because the North was next to France, and they had like the most pull in Africa and North Africa, where I was at in Morocco. So I was like singing at some crazy gigs, It was unreal. So, I was in like 6-star, 7-star hotels, like sitting down with cats from Dubai that ran oil companies, and just like, just normal people.
Right.
But yeah, it was really big. And it was funny because before I got called to do the Morocco trip, I was like literally at the brink of, I was like depression, down below, like had no self-belief, like I was literally like, you know what I mean? I was just like lost all touch of myself. It was crazy. So it was funny how the universe called me to get up and go and like serve and make people feel good from the gift that God gave me when I felt so crappy and down, right?
Wow. That's incredible. What an experience for you.
Yeah, man, and that's how, if you want to call God or the universe or magic, that's how it all works for me and probably for you and for everybody else. It synchronizes with everything that you're doing. It's just like click, click. It all pulls in.
Absolutely. It's so interesting how the things that we need to experience, they find us. Those, it just happens a lot of the time. Even when it's something, even if it's a negative experience, sometimes we need that too, and it builds our character. I mean, that's the way I choose to look at it. I've gone through some tough things, and at the end of the day, it's like, well, I can let that destroy me, or I can try to figure out what the lesson was and what the message was and how to use it in my life. So that brings me to another question I have for you.
What's that?
All of the things that you've been through, the lessons that you took from them, how do you use them in your life now? Have they made you stronger, resilient? Even if it's a bad experience, let's say somebody screwed you over really bad in the industry, as we know happens in the music industry. How do you use that lesson for the next experience, for the next time around?
You know what, Jess? It's really messed up because, like, my heart is so big that, like, I do get screwed over, but, like, I don't even know how to hold it against people.
Wow.
I don't. I really don't know how. And I know, like, some people could probably listen to that and they'd be like, this guy sounds like he's crazy. But, I mean, if you really understand, like, I don't know, like, a lot of people throw the word love around, right? But once you understand unconditional love, if you get that, opposed to just, like, thinking about how the Little Mermaid fell in love with Eric on the Disney movie, like, unconditional love is, like, you can't change love over anything that anybody did to you. And it's automatic. You have to, like, accept and forgive. So, like, I didn't really learn, like, no crazy lessons, because if I would have learned my lessons, like, I would have changed a lot that I did. But I literally, it took Andru to come in my life to change a lot of the shit that I was doing.
I'm so floored by your answer to that question, and it's so amazing, and that's what, I'm so happy to have you on the show. What?
I was going in circles. I was doing circles, and it's like, like I told you, like, the spiritual meaning of, like, God putting me here to, like, sing, and, like, like, I just now, like, this year had to come to the terms with every second that I'm not making music is, like, it's okay. Like, I'm not gonna die. Like, it's that crazy, like, a lot of times I would be around family and be around friends and feel like, I can't be here, and feel like I feel like I was doing something wrong by being, like, by not following my dream, you know what I mean? And it, I just got to the point this year where I learned to, like, accept life and living the experience that I'm in while I'm in it, opposed
living in
to,
the
like,
moment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As opposed to what? Like, living in the future,
As opposed
anticipating.
to, like, yeah, as opposed to, like, feeling upset because I'm not living in L.A. in a fucking paid free mansion, getting ready to go do whatever I want.
Mhm.
Right.
That's understandable. I want to bounce back real quick to what you were just saying about not being able to hold, even when somebody screws you over, you can't hold it against them. I think that does come with a spiritual awareness and an awakening, and you had one so early on, and obviously, you're a rapidly evolving spiritual being. And for some people it's slower, and that's okay, but I can relate to what you said many levels, because when you understand so much about spirituality and psychology, for example, you understand that most of the things that people do to you, even if it hurts you, it's not even about you. It's about them. It's about their own suffering, their own pain, their own...
It always is.
Right. And so... And when you can be hurt for me, for example, I can be hurt for a while, but after some time passes, I do so much emotional work and spiritual work about whatever it was that hurt me, that I just come to a greater understanding that that person, those people are really only hurting themselves. Because, exactly. And so that just gives you that feeling of, like, compassion, but also, like, empathy, but also kind of like, I feel sorry for you, but not in a pity way. Like, you just really feel sorry for them.
Right, and
they must be suffering.
Sorry to cut you off, but it really boils down to how much you love the world when you actually, like, when you feel that, because you know that the world doesn't even deserve to have that type of energy in the people on it. Not to say that those people got to get off the earth, but I mean, like, that energy doesn't have to be in them.
Right. But sadly, that's why they have that expression, hurt people. I'm not making excuses for people who hurt others or screw people over. It's not about that. But I'm saying that, when you realize that those are damaged people, and that's why they're hurting you or screwing you entrepreneur, especially, in the business that you're in. It's tough, It's a dog-eat-dog world. But
it is.
Anyway, I love your perspective.
Killed.
What's that?
I said it's kill or be killed.
Yeah.
Out in the world.
I think it's amazing that you have that perspective. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Have what perspective?
You have that perspective. I think it's amazing that you have that perspective.
Okay, yeah, my perspective on what I just explained.
Yes, because especially that you were dealt a difficult childhood, and you still are so loving and open and free-spirited, and and it's usually the opposite. People that come from tough situations can turn out to be pretty hard. That's more common. So.
And I could have, but
that's what I mean.
I made a conscious choice. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I was too young. Like, I used to sneak and like listen to the word. Like I used to go to my aunt, like a cousin's house, to play with like the kids or whatever when they used to have youth teen group, and they would like learn about the Bible and stuff. And then like I was like probably like 4 or 5 and like hiding in the hallway listening to them read the Bible because I found it so interesting at that age. And they caught me in the hallway and they were like, "We can't leave an age barrier on this group. This is supposed to be for teens, but we know that when when spiritual beings want to like hear the word or hear anything, this is like, we have to allow all ages." So like that's the kind of person, that's the kind of spirit that's in me. Like I'm just,
Beautiful. I can see why you and Andrew are such a strong team, because you're both such spiritual people, and just the emotional intelligence of the both of you. You guys are a match made in heaven. It's great, and the music that you're making, It's, and he's calling, so let me add him in. Hold on one sec.
There he goes.
Hi, Andrew. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Just sitting here listening to my brother Kaleb speak some wisdom and tell me some things even I didn't know. Very insightful.
Aw, that's awesome. So,
yeah.
So how many years now are you guys working together, really going at it? Like 1.5 years, right?
Yeah, it's been 1.5 years that we started releasing music together, but we've been collaborating and working together very closely since 2011. That's what a lot of people don't understand because they never saw it. And there's only like 1 or 2 pictures in the world of like me and Kaleb together prior to the last bit. Like we almost worked in secret. And we made a lot of groups pop from behind the scenes, like putting out artists, developing artists back home, younger artists. So we've been working together since 2011, but music together last 1.5 years.
Oh, wow. So you guys have had a lot of practice. That's quite a lot. That's a long time. Right.
Yeah. And our favorite thing to call ourselves is like, we call ourselves like, rap scholars and all of that good stuff. Like, we're learners of the game, students of the game. So like we studied a lot of ways that how different crews came into the music,
and how they operated.
Especially Wu-Tang.
Okay, tell us more.
It was just like a huge influence on me and Kaleb growing up was Wu-Tang. And even like you mentioned earlier, they used to call me Lil Meth in school, right? Like Method Man. So that thing was always there. And at that time, there was just nothing more important in our neighborhood in Cranberry than the 36 Chambers by Wu-Tang. So, and shout out to one of your colleagues, Gerald Barclay, GB, who gave us some of the visuals that really shaped our young minds into wanting to pursue this dream to the point that we're sitting here today with you on the phone and discussing it. So, You know, shout out to everybody from the slums of Shaolin.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so interesting the way the universe connects people, because you and I started working together and you didn't even know that I was connected to that person who was obviously,
I had no clue.
Closely affiliated with Wu-Tang and actually grew up with them. So it's just crazy.
Yeah,
the universe.
very surprising.
Yeah.
Exciting, I should say. Not even surprising anymore, just exciting. And that's what makes life enjoyable, and that's what people that only look to the physical will never understand, is that when you can appreciate the duality of life, the spiritual and the physical, and you can accept both of those things, and life becomes enjoyable, because with knowledge and wisdom comes understanding. You know what I mean? So the more knowledge and wisdom you have pertaining to all the aspects of living life in this dimension, the more enjoyable it is, because you understand. And with understanding comes the release of anger and hatred and being frustrated, because you understand now. Now you're not upset. Now you're moving with the flow, and you know what I mean? And you know what you're looking at. So
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's a red jewel you dropped on them. No, that's true, man.
I feel my vibration rising just from having you both on the line. Like, I'm not just the way that you guys think and the point of evolution that you're at. It's incredible. So, Andrew, you're welcome. You always wanted to work with Kaleb for quite a while, right? So what was it like? Oh man,
forever.
I remember you mentioning that. So what was it like when you guys finally started making music together?
Well, for me, see, here's the thing a lot of people don't know, is I actually went to, I was working with some really, I'm not going to mention all their names and shit, but I was working with some really top artists in Toronto. And I'd say, and this is during when my eyes were really bad, like when I was during the blindness. I think it was 2015, maybe 14, 15, and I actually cut a demo, and I wanted Kaleb on it. And it was the first time anyone ever heard me rap. And I tried to do a song with him then, but it didn't really play out like that. So I was a little disappointed, whatever. But, not to blame him, I wasn't making it very clear what my intentions were. I was kind of more or less taking the beat around the bush approach, hey guys, I rap a little bit too. You know what I mean? I wasn't really asserting myself and telling people what I was there to do and what I was focused on. So when I finally got the chance to do a song with him, and it was just after, he didn't get into this, but in his Morocco story, it gets a little bit more hectic. I'll leave that up to him if he wants to talk about it. But when he got back from Morocco to Canada, it was super hectic, and that's when we made our first song together. And when that song was done, me and him both knew that there was something there that was worthwhile us being excited about, and I don't know, we just had one of those moments where we knew oh shit, it's funny because people were telling us a group. Sorry, go ahead.
It was right down magic. What happened is I'm performing in Morocco for 7 months. This is my third trip to Morocco, so I'm performing for 7 months, and the person that brought me out there ended up going to jail, and my money got screwed over. So Andrew's on the phone with me in Africa, and he's like, yo, you're fucking flying here where I'm at. He was like, I'm working in a studio. What we have to do, our mission is you got to fly here, and we got to win these people over. He was like, because they're not truly, they're not sold on me 100% right yet. He's like, but I know what we're going to do. He was like, you got to get the fuck out of there, and he was like, you got to fly here. And he was like, when you do that, he was like, we're going to do these 2 songs, and he was like, then everything's going to go from there. So when I got the opportunity to get up and fly, I flew to Windsor, and then we went to Detroit, and then we went and worked on our album, and that's what just happened. The first song, we won them over. They were jumping around the studio. They were turning it up. They were playing it back. They were calling people on the phone. They were playing the song and the speaker in the corner on the phone, and we were just like, all right, then we got them.
Damn, them boys from Canada's cold, man. They're like, them boys from Canada cold, man. They couldn't even believe it. They're like, y'all from Canada for real? Yeah, man.
And it was kind of like a crying moment for us because that's what we wanted. We wanted to sell ourselves. We wanted to prove to these cats that, like, you know, that we were really worth, like, taking the energy and focusing on. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like our whole, like, our thing the whole time is just trying to show people, like, we're the ones that you need to focus on. Even you don't really gotta, like, you don't gotta gas our ego because we're well grounded, we're balanced, but, like, you know, just give us that little bit of attention. That's where we're at with everybody, right?
Yeah. And for us, like, just to expand on what he just said too, the reason why why we wanted this type of acceptance that we got in this specific situation is because as Canadian urban musicians, it's always been historically a struggle to get accepted south of the border. It's only happened a few times. Shout out to Maestro, very first man to open that door with Let Your Backbone Slide, you know what I'm saying? And then Drake obviously came in later on and opened up major doors. And shout out to him and shout out to Justin Bieber, who simultaneously, while Drake was getting on, was also taking over the pop market. You know what I mean? And opening doors for urban artists and pop artists from Canada. So the reason why it was important to us is because growing up in Nova Scotia, being Canadian, being so far removed away from Brooklyn and Harlem and Staten Island and the Bronx and all these things that we would hear about in the music that we grew up like being obsessed with, we just wanted one day that what we made would resonate with that audience the same way that they resonated with us. That we would reach a level where we would be cool enough and that we would have enough to say and that we'd study the game enough that people from the meccas of these places would be able to hear our music and get enjoyment from it. And that's what happened. So, you know what I mean? And it's still happening. So we crossed over. And that was our main goal the whole time, being Canadian, is to cross over. You know what I'm saying? So just wanted to expand on that, why that was important. You know what I mean? To get that acceptance.
Yeah. I'm glad that you shared that because I can totally understand what you're saying, and I'm sure that, you know, the audience can definitely identify. So, yeah, the U.S. is a big beast, you know. They have a lot of people doing the same thing, so I can understand.
Yeah, that's the Mecca.
Yeah.
that's the birth of hip hop.
Right.
Yeah, man.
So what are you guys working on right now?
So crazy what we're working on right now.
Should we even tell her? Wait. Hold on. Don't
that's up to you guys. Yeah, don't say too much.
I was just about to spill the whole beans here. Wait a sec here. Let's have some discretion for a minute. Let's think about what we want to tell her, what we're working on. We don't want to give them too much.
You don't have to talk about what you're doing now. Let me ask you.
I'll let Kay handle it. He can tell you a little bit about what's going on, but we can't give you everything just yet. But we can give you a little bit.
All right.
Right now, what we're doing is we're in the middle of putting together our second offering to the hip hop and the hip hop, the R&B and hip hop game. This is our second offering. It's called In. And our first project we dropped was called Paid. This one's called In. And, you know, right now we're working on some really, really crazy tunes that are going to hit your spinal cord. That's all I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
man.
enough. That's enough.
Cerebral
That's exciting.
Something
to that cerebral.
Something to make your back want to move.
Make your backbone slide.
I was just going to say that. I was literally just going to say that. That was the first song I heard by Maestro, because as an American moving to Canada, I was about 21. And then, you know, obviously Gerald, who's friends with Maestro, told me about him. And Maestro ended up coming to my apartment to pick up a film that I worked on with Gerald. And so I got to meet him, and it was just amazing. Yeah, and I heard the song, and everybody was like, all the Canadians were like, oh, my God, I can't believe you met Maestro Fresh West. And I didn't know a lot until that point. Yeah, and then I really learned about his influence in the community and all, you know, all the success that he had.
He's our rock him. He's our rock him. Like what rock him is to rap into New York City is what Maestro is to us in Canada. Word to God. He's our rock him. Shout out to Maestro.
So obviously you guys have been in this business a long time on both sides of the business, right? Andrew, you've done a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff before this, and now you're both obviously right out in front and center. So you both know about all of the different struggles that are presented to one who's heavily immersed in this industry. What kind of advice would you guys give to people who are struggling and not exactly where they want to be, but are trying to be, and what kind of advice would you have for them?
Kaleb, I have some advice for Kaleb. I have the advice that he should go back to that dock where his cordless phone sits on and get within range of that before we answer any more questions. And I'll take that one.
I didn't catch that.
Close to to get close to the dock where your cordless phone plugs into, you know what I mean? So you get that range. We're getting that buzz, man.
Is he buzzing?
He's my cousin, but yeah, we're getting the buzzing cousin.
It's a bit buzzy. Yeah, that's the crazy part. He can't hear it, but we can. But yeah. Okay, that's better.
I think he's good now. Yeah, he's good now. Okay, so to answer your question, I would give the advice to any struggling artist to keep struggling, because through that struggle, you are going to find success. Success, the sum of your failures will be equal the total of your success. So keep struggling, keep trying to figure it out. Don't get discouraged. Just understand that every time you find the wrong way to do it, you're getting one step closer to finding the right way to do it. And if you move with that mentality and you're in it for the long haul, then you're good. You can wake up happy every day, and you know that you're going to get to where you're going because you're systematically trying every day. You're not getting discouraged, and one of these times you're going to find what you're looking for. And it's like the process of elimination. That's how we learn to be successful. We do not learn how to be successful through just having success constantly with anything that we try, anytime that we try it. That would be pointless. It'd be like a video game that had no obstacles, you know what I mean? So get used to jumping hurdles, you know what I mean? Stretch. Get used to jumping and just enjoy the run.
That's great advice.
Amen.
So
enjoy it.
I have a question for Andrew, because I already asked you, Kaleb, the same thing. So we know how Andrew has supported you on your journey in your life, even in music as well. So how does Kaleb support you, Andrew?
Mostly financially. You know, he's always sending me thousands of dollars to buy all the designer clothes I want and the new jewelry. No, I'm just joking. No, like, honestly, by the way, thank you, Kaleb, for what you said earlier. I appreciate that. I was listening to that. And to answer your question, Jessica, Kaleb has taught me how to be a more emotionally balanced individual. He's taught me how to love people better. He's taught me how to be more patient. He's taught me how to be less quick to act and, you know, sooner to stop and, you know, reflect and listen and relax. He's taught me to be more social. A big thing when I first met him or I shouldn't say when I first met him, but the 2011 era that he spoke on when we were moving around Toronto a lot together is my social skills were just not up to par. I was working on them actively, but they were not up to par. I knew this. Kaleb was overly social, so he taught me how to be social. And I just, you know, speak on one story with Kaleb is one day I was just frustrated because he'll literally talk to anybody, you know what I mean? Well, at that time, he's still like that to a degree, but at that time, he'll literally just walk through the mall and talk to every single person that will even make eye contact with him, right? So
awesome.
We're walking through the mall, and, you know, it would get frustrating from time to time, though, because it would take you like 3 or 4 times longer to walk through a mall than it normally would because he stopped and talked to everybody. So one day I was like, yo, bro, I was like, why in the fuck do you stop and, like, talk to every single person you see? And then he just kind of, like, yelled back at me, and he didn't really ever yell back at me. And he's like, yo, bro, he's like, why don't you talk to everybody that you see? And then I was like, I was like, okay. And just from him, like, saying that, I was like, yo, he's right, man. Like, I'm not getting anywhere being scared to talk to these other human beings and, you know, just walking around with my blinders on and my head down, just moving around reality like I'm the only person in it. I needed to be able to open up to people more and to not be scared of awkward social interaction and to just have confidence to speak to people and to not care if they don't like it. Just to have enough confidence to know that you mean well, and even if they get weirded out by it, you did nothing wrong. That's on them. And he just taught me things like that. And he also taught me a lot about endurance, and because Kaleb has a lot of endurance. Kaleb's endured a lot. He's endured a lot of deep pains that most people couldn't live with. He's endured a lot of poverty and situations that it would drive most people mental, or they blow their head off, you know what I mean? So he showed me how to have endurance and how to do it with a smile, to not act like you're in a struggle, but to actually embrace the struggle and to move forward with a smile on your face and with love in your heart, and also, that's the other main one that I'll just conclude this with, is to not be bitter, to not look at people that have done you wrong and feel any type of bitterness towards them, you know what I mean? To just let that go. It doesn't mean that they have to be in your life every day, but there's no reason to look at anybody and see anything other than the amazing times that you've had with one another. Or even if you're looking at it from the other perspective, you just look at what lesson that you learned from them and how grateful you are for those lessons, you know what I mean? So that's the biggest things that Kaleb has taught me, instilled in me, and things that I admire him for as well,
That is so amazing.
If you can love when you feel like you don't want to, then you've overcome one of the biggest hurdles ever, because that's a big part of unconditional love. Because we're all put to the point where we want to judge someone because of something they said to us, or we want to judge someone from what they've done to somebody. And when it's really personal towards you, if you can fight past your train of thought saying fuck you or fuck that person, and actually projecting love internally, then you really got a big key going on to the planet.
Yeah,
and that's what I tried to show him, right? And we've been through situations where we've been doubted and we've been told we're never going to be shit, and we're together. What you guys are doing is never going to work. You guys don't have it. You guys can't write. You guys can't rap. You guys need people to write your songs. You guys need this. It's not, So we literally we've been in situations where we could have said, F you, or, but we kept our heart, and I've even fought Andru on it sometimes, and he was like, no, fuck that, fuck them, and I was like, no, we have to follow Gandhi.
That's how we balance each other, by the way, to answer your other question earlier before I was on, when you're saying, how does us working together work? That explains it right there. When I'm ready to pull out the sword and just run through the battlefield and start chopping and lobbing heads off, Kaleb's like, no, we must go to the temple and pray for, you know what I mean? I'm like, yes, you're right. You're right.
That is so
then
awesome.
we rush back, and, he saves me from going down a path of destruction that I'm going to have to recover from, you know what I mean? So, I'm making a lot less mistakes around Kaleb, because I can be a little hot, and I am a martial artist, and, I have that attitude, in me. I'm half Irish. I just have that fighting attitude. So Kaleb, a lot of times will make me stop. And honestly, I'm really proud of myself lately, how I've been handling situations, but I got to really give him the credit. I've been really taking my time with things lately, and I feel like I've been making way better decisions in how I'm responding to situations that I don't like. So a lot of that praise goes to Kaleb. So thank you, Kaleb.
You guys.
Yeah, changed man. A changed man, and we talk about it all the time. He looks at me, and I look at him, and I say, "Man, honestly, you did a good job." And he looks at me and says, "Man, I'm fucking proud of you, man." So we're aware of it ourselves on both ends.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And we feel thankful and grateful, and and we're happy about it, and we have the gratitude towards the universe for even having the chance to have the interaction with each other, to grow and to be here, looking at each other, seeing how we've grown.
We're watching each other grow from middle school, so that's where we can actually, and learning from each other, that's where we can easily look at each other and say, I'm proud of you. But it's important to tell everybody around you they're proud of you. You're proud of them when you can.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't say it. You know, sometimes you might got to tell your mom when she's not expecting to hear it, or like your niece, or you know, you may catch them off guard when they're going to the fridge, and you say, "Hey," and they say, "What?" You say, "Man, I'm proud of you." And even if you don't got nothing, make something up and watch their face.
Oh, that's
Right.
so beautiful. I love the dynamic that you guys have, and I love that, you know, two men are so willing and open to evolving continuously, you know, and constantly working on yourself.
And express their understanding of, like, you know the level of knowledge that we've accumulated. Like a lot of people, they know a lot of stuff, but they hide it.
That's true.
They do.
Yeah.
A lot of
or
people
they don't
know how to talk to you gentle, but they only want to do that when, you know, they're ready to do that. You know what I mean? They have to be hard, or they have to have their bricks up, or they have to have their wall up when they're at work, or they, you know. But come on, man.
Exactly. But would you say that Andru has helped you in knowing when to distance yourself? Because it's all good to love somebody who's hurt you and have unconditional love, but boundaries are also so important, because there are certain people who will destroy you.
Yeah, if you ask him, he'll literally tell you that. He would have to, like, pull me away from people that were literally, like,
driving them off the cliff, man.
Yeah,
literally supposed to drive them right off the cliff, man. Every time. Every fucking time.
Just going back. It's crazy. See, and that's why I said, like, it's not possible for me to hold things against people and you know, and regret and shit like that. I don't know how to do it. I'm really, like, I'm operating on a channel of unconditional love, which is really fucked up, because sometimes it's not good if you're the individual that's operating on that channel. Trust me, he get messed around a lot.
Yeah.
But
right.
yeah, Andru knows, like, he's had to pull me out of some places, and I'm just not good for it. I'm not good for it.
Well, that's why you guys have each other.
I'm learning. I'm learning a little bit, you know. It's getting better for me.
It sounds like you both
and
are.
that's all we need, right, is to be getting better. Like, the thing is, and this is just like some universal knowledge out there for anyone that's listening or will be listening, is just like, as long as you're getting better, you don't have to worry every day. You don't have to stress about where your life's going or what's going to happen next. Like, as long as you know you're doing something every day to make yourself better, something tangible, you know what I mean? Reading a book or going for a walk or exercise, as long as you know that you're making that effort to getting better, you're doing really good, you know what I mean? And you can always build on that, you know what I mean? And you'll gain more capacity as you go on. You know, you'll start doing one thing and then you'll take on something else, and you can gain more and more capacity. And you'll start to use your 24 hours different. But as long as you're getting better, it's not about where you started. It's not even about where you're at now. It's just as long as you're progressing, then nobody else can fucking expect anything else from you as a human being. And me and Kaleb are progressing. And we're late bloomers, to be honest with you, and it feels great to be a late bloomer, because we've learned something about longevity out here in this real world, is that the faster it goes up, the faster it comes down. And what me and Kaleb have learned and what we've established and the foundation that we're building and that we've built is very grounded in reality. It's very grounded in, you know, a lot of hardship and experience that gave us the knowledge to even know how to make the approach that we're making now. You know what I mean? But for us, it's just the fact that we know we're getting better. That's it. We don't need to prove anything to anybody. We don't need any specific number of views or any type of accolade. Even though all those things are nice, we know that we're touching people because people are really reaching out to us on a day-to-day level. And we know how we're affecting the reality around us, and that is our indicator that we're getting better. So we don't have to worry about anything. You know what I mean?
That's amazing. So I'm so curious, what is the process like when you guys are creating a song? What's first? What comes first?
We start with the hip, hop, the hip to the hip. I'm just joking. That's where everything starts, you know, that's what you.
Honestly, jazz is the most. It's magical, man. 'Cause like it's funny, 'cause like me making a song, it's always been like a spiritual thing. It's been so spiritual. Like I stopped writing on paper like a while ago, probably like 4 years ago, and then I started like learning how to record music like off of the feeling, because I wasn't getting a lot of feeling when I was reading from papers, and because I didn't have the patience to sit there and like learn a song and learn it to the point where I actually knew it. I would just like write it and then record it. So I stopped writing for a bit, and I just started like recording songs, opposed to like sitting and writing it. Just like, you know, I would record it without writing it down.
Oh, wow.
And I started getting more feeling out of my songs, and they weren't perfect, but I knew I had to practice this to get better at it, because there was more feeling in me making my music this way. And so me recording was always spiritual. It was always like some crazy spiritual thing for me. And then when me and him started making music, it literally became magical. Because remember, he's like the sergeant, and I'm like the free-spirited hippie. You know, it comes to like the spirit. And yeah, when we started making music together, it was like whatever sense of structure that I needed on a spiritual level, and even on like an academic level, he brought that side to it, and the structure was there, and I was just the other side, just like the, you know.
That's incredible.
The process is like really easy for
the melodic maniac.
Yeah, that's Kaleb. Like, and that's what the process. What I was gonna say, the process is really easy, because me and Kaleb, all we need to make a great song is to be in a good mood, have a beat that moves us, and smoke a little bit of weed, and then you can watch everything else just happen without any effort. It doesn't have to happen any specific way. We don't need any type of specific room or like candles around or like any type of, you know, ambiance. All we need is a little bit of weed, be in a good mood, which we always are if we're together and we got weed, and then we just need a beat that we like. So,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything else is easy, and like we'll literally put a beat on. Sometimes he'll just start making, because he's a melody genius, like that's a very loosely used word, and I'm not using it loosely. Kaleb is a melodic genius, and when it comes to, you know, creating melodies, he's just unbelievable. Like he could be like like a computer program, like a million melodies, like just randomly generate any melody you want. Like, so when I hear him making a melody that moves me, I'll be like, yo, go back. What was that? What's that? And then he'll start doing it again. I'm like, yo, okay, do that for 2 beats to it. Okay, yeah, okay, do that for 4 bars. That one right there. Okay. Then we'll figure out a melody that we really like that works on the beat. Then we'll write a hook usually based on that melody. You know, this isn't the only approach, but this is one approach. We'll write the hook based on the melody together, and then we have the hook. Then we both go off individually, write our own verses, come back, make sure each one of us sign off on each other's verse, that we're both moved by the other one's verse, and then we're good to go. Or sometimes he'll just bring me a hook that he already had. Or sometimes I'll just send him like a name. I'll be like, yo, bro, I want to do this record called this. And I'll be like, I'll explain where I'm coming with it. And then he'll be like, all right. And then he'll send me back like a hook. And I'll be like, yeah. You know what I mean? And we just move. Like, so no matter what way we try to do it or we come up on it, whether it's my idea, I pick the beat, he picks the beat. Yeah.
We always end up putting the puzzle together very, very, very interesting. It's like, so it's so interesting the way we put the puzzles. Putting the song together is like, it's like putting pieces of a puzzle together, and we know when we have like we know when we're really in the zone of writing a song, because we start bouncing around, we're sliding around on the floor, we're saying shit, and
dancing,
throwing shit,
giving each other high fives and shit.
It's like, it's a crazy energy, like, and I wish we had ever had cameras on us, because it would be funny as fuck, like watching us just like trip out.
Make a song.
How the process goes, but
you know what?
Magic. Go ahead.
That's a really good idea. You guys should record that. Gerald, GB, we call him GB. With Wu-Tang, he had so much behind-the-scenes footage that he made an entire documentary later on. So whenever you guys can do that, I would definitely suggest doing that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We definitely need more media together. That's the odd thing is for two guys that spend as much time together as we have over the last decade and more, there's rarely any media of us actually together. It's not planned that way. We're not trying to be mysterious. It's just been that way. So you're right. We definitely need to capture and show people because I think people would find it really endearing if they've seen how much fun we're actually having and if they've seen how much, how good of friends we actually are. Because that's what the world needs, man. Everybody wants an amazing friend. Who hasn't watched, one of those movies where, two people are just so good friends and you're like, damn, I wish I had a friend like that. You know what I mean? And, Caleb is that guy for me. You know what I mean? Caleb's literally, my best friend in the world. He's, my brother. I don't know what I would literally do if Caleb didn't exist. There's no one else that I can actually talk to about the things that go through my mind other than Caleb and have them understand it or work through it. So it's people need to see a little bit more of that and see the dynamic and see how, this thing isn't contrived. We're not just trying to make a little formula and give you guys some music. This is two guys that never lost that inner child, that grew up with the same dreams, that grew up being influenced by the same things. And when we got older, we fought like a motherfucker, excuse my language, against the world to keep our dream alive because they all tried to extinguish our flame. And trust me, there was some fucking number one firefighters out there all day, every day trying to put out our fire. You know what I'm saying? And they were doing a hell of a job, but they never got it to fully go out, you know what I mean? And we're blazing on right now, so that's the biggest thing,
I think that would be fascinating for people to see. Not only the dynamics between you guys, but the process as well. Both, I think it would be amazing.
Yeah, I never even thought about the process because it's just so normal to me because me, even as a new recording artist, only actually having recordings out on the worldwide platform for a year and a half now, everything to me is brand new. So I didn't even think about how special this process may be until I was kind of listening to Caleb talk about how magic that he finds it. And I was like, maybe we are doing something special. Maybe more special than most because I know I've been in the studio with a lot of artists. I've worked with a lot of artists, and I know the hardest thing to find is inspiration. And a lot of people try to do it in weird ways. They try to put lights in the room or, they try to smoke a certain kind of weed or, hit the bong a bunch of times or, do whatever that they do or, you know what I mean? I don't know. They all try to find these, outside ways of getting inspired, but me and Caleb's inspiration is literally internal and it's infinite. If you put me and Caleb in a studio and you gave us access to recording equipment, a producer, and someone that's going to sit there and engineer, we could recreate till the end of time, and we would only get better and better each time. There's no way we could get worse. And we're students of this game. We understand the mathematics of what's going on, and we understand music even if we never looked at it from a scientific point of view, but we also understand music from a scientific point of view to the highest degree. So when you have that mix of guys, you know what I mean? We could make whatever we want. We just chose to give you this. This is us. But we could have done classical. We could have given you guys soul. We could have given you guys rock and roll. We can create whatever in the hell that we feel like creating. And we know that. You know what I mean? So we're just being authentic and true to ourselves, what resonates with us. And we're lifestyle rappers. You know what I mean? We rap lifestyle. And we also are aware of the fact that our words are magic. You know what I mean? And what we rap comes true. So we rap about things that we like and things that we want. We don't rap about things that we don't want, which is what 90% of rappers rap about. They rap about all these awful things that they would never want in their lives. And they attract it to their lives by rapping about it. We do the opposite. We rap about what we want, how we like to live, situations, you know what I mean? We paint pictures. Me and him are like Picasso and Van Gogh. We're just out here painting pictures, you know what I mean, and being true to ourselves.
I love what you said the other day about words, and they're actually spells, like you said, spelling, right? So that was
spelling.
And the fact
when you
that
put it together in
that,
a rhyme form, it's even more potent. When you can, this English language, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but when you can put something into a rhyme form, the impact that it has on your brain psychologically, is a lot different than when you just hear the words said to you without tying the syllables and the consonants together. You know what I mean? So that's just a little jewel right there for who can catch it. But this shit is spelling.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
I love that. I was always writing poetry as a kid. That was like my thing. And I remember my friends' parents reading my poetry and being like, wow, like, how are you doing this? You know, I was really young. But there was always something about that, like you were just describing. And I think that's why I like rap. But I also grew up with rap because I'm from New York, and it was just, that's what we listened to. But I think there's something really powerful in it. So I can totally understand what you're saying. So where do you guys come up with, you know, how do the lyrics come to you? Is it like in a moment? It's not premeditated, right?
The beat talks to us. The beat talks.
The pocket opens, and we jump in it.
A lot of different inspirations and experiences. A lot of different stuff is actually incorporated, right?
Mhm.
Definitely. And like honestly, with us too, it's like the lyrics, they come secondary to the melody. You know what I mean? With us, it's melody first, and it's lyrics second, but it doesn't mean that lyrics are not important to us. Like if you actually listen to what we're saying, we're really lyrical, and there's a lot of metaphors, there's a lot of double entendres, there's a lot of triple, you know, there's a lot creatively going on with the way that we tie the words together and what we're actually speaking on, but you actually have to have a degree in the language that we're speaking and to fully understand our lyrics. So if you don't speak the language that we're speaking, which is pilot talk, so if you didn't go to pilot school and learn how to speak the flat language that me and Kaleb speak, you probably wouldn't understand what we're saying anyway. But for all the pilots that are out there that are flying at 30,000 feet high above all the groundlings, they know exactly what we're saying. And we're talking that fly shit, and we're talking the shit that we grew up on. Like, for example, like Notorious B.I.G., for example, is a lifestyle rapper. You know what I mean? He's talking about, you know what I mean, with the Dom P's and the Cristals and rolling around in the Mercedes and this and that. Like, this is lifestyle that he's rapping about. You know what I mean? And when there's different ways that you can approach rap, and we chose to approach it from the lifestyle point of view because to us it was always the flyest. It always resonated with us because even though me and Kaleb are super knowledgeable, you know, nerdy in a sense, you know what I mean, well-read, all these things, we're also us. And we also grew up, like, you know, with certain influences around us, and we're from the black community where we're from. So we had certain influences around us. And honestly, it's always been a thing where we're from to show out a little bit. Like, Caleb's from a community called North Preston. Growing up, I would see people from North Preston. All the cars were done up. They all had rims on them, candy paint, tinted out. You know what I mean? Guys would jump out the car looking clean and fly and hair cut and everything. You know what I mean? Their girls are looking, everything was right, 100. Like, so we grew up being influenced by materialism. We're not materialists, but we also recognize we live in a material world. You know what I mean? And we do enjoy nice things, and we do enjoy nice lifestyle. You know what I mean? But as you can tell by speaking to us, we've done a lot of the other work. So there's not a lot left for us to really do other than just kind of create the material around us that we want. And we're doing that through rap. And it's opening the doors and creating the financial opportunities. You know, so we're not materialists, but we do rap materialism. We're not trying to save the world with our lyrics. We're trying to save the world with podcasts like this where people take the time to listen, and then we catch them off guard with what we're speaking about because they might not understand we're that type of person through just listening to our music. Our music, we're just trying to raise the vibration. We're just trying to make you feel good. We're not trying to make you think too much because we're basics. We know that simple is better. So the simplest way to approach helping somebody is to not overload them with information. It's just to make them feel good. That's half the battle. If you're feeling good, you're doing good. You know what I mean? So we just try to do things that make us feel good, and it makes other people feel good, and it's not too complicated. And if you do want to get complicated, you can dig into us on socials, and then you can hear what we have to say and how we speak on social events and history and these types of things, or you can listen to us on podcasts. And we're going to bring more, you know, ways that we'll be able to speak to our fan base on issues like this and not just us as, creators of music. You know what I mean?
Right, and I think that's one of the most fascinating and outstanding things about you guys for me is that, yeah, you're creating music to raise vibration. I always put your music on and I'm just in a good mood. I get, like you said, my vibration is raised. But you're using
Thank
your
you.
voice. You're welcome. You're using your voice, though, to communicate so much more. And also the attention that you have because of your music, it gives you an outlet to use your voice. So
Yes.
I think it's brilliant.
You got to mix the medicine with the candy. I learned this a long time ago. You can't just give people the medicine. They don't want it. You got to give them
right.
a handful of candy and put a little bit of medicine in it, and then, they take in the mouthful and they don't even notice that they got the medicine. And that's what me and Kaleb are. We're the medicine with the candy. The candy's the music. It sounds good. It feels good. You know what I mean? It's luxurious. It's what you want to hear. It's what you want to imagine in your mind's eye when you, can imagine yourself progressing, in life in terms of the physical, in terms of material. But at the same time, when you look at what kind of guys we are, how we live our life and what example we're setting and what we've overcome, then that's where the medicine is, and we don't have to preach that. All we have to do is be us. People feel it. They can feel the realness off us. We don't have to tell them. People can feel it. You know what I mean? They know they're dealing with a different type of guy when me and Kaleb are in front of them. You know what I mean? We don't need to sit on a record and preach to you guys and try to change the world. You'll never win people over preaching to them, man. You win by example. You know what I mean? And we're living by example, which is living the life we want to live, not being afraid to express ourselves honestly and truly, and not being afraid to have love and to express that and to express to people that it is the most important thing. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
That's just us.
You know what? I can testify to that because just after a few brief conversations, I knew that both of you were just really different. Obviously,
Yeah.
I could tell. And like Andrew and I started working on his film, right? But I knew, like, very quickly after talking to him, like, something just clicked. I was like, okay, there's, like, a similar vibration going on here. And you can feel that. Just like you said, you don't have to prove anything. You just have to be yourself. And then the right dynamics and people will present themselves or you'll connect with. Yeah. And then, and that's when magic happens. Like you guys,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Working together.
Yeah,
you guys are. Mm-hmm.
We're blessed, and we're blessed to know people like you and to be on this podcast and be having these conversations and to share ideas with like-minded individuals. And, it truly is an honor and a blessing. And me and Kaleb are very humble individuals, and we do not take any opportunity lightly. We do not take any opportunity for granted. So we just want to take this quick little moment to thank you for having us and for giving Kaleb a chance to tell his story. And, prior giving me a chance to tell my story. If Kaleb and I died tomorrow, God forbid, you know what I mean? We have some record. People can listen back, you know what I mean? So thank you for giving us that opportunity.
It's been my pleasure, trust me, completely my pleasure. It's so great to have you guys on. And I know that the audience is taking so much insight away from you guys. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to walk away with a whole new perspective, I feel, because there's a lot of misconception about this industry, about rappers, even about the entertainment industry in general, that they're all a certain type of way. And you guys are the proof that, being spiritual, being humble, being good people, being unconditionally loving is the magic, actually, at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, it's a big key, man, because, like, the whole planet's hurting, and you see it. You don't even have to, like, you don't even got to question that. The whole planet is in a situation right now where there's an extra level of fear, extra level of all of that. So, and I mean, I feel bad for anybody right now who still feels that it makes sense to, like, not try to humble yourself a little bit more each and every day and be a little bit nicer and tell people you love them a little bit more and act on it. Show people you love them. I mean, we're really at a point now where it's important, man, and it's going to change people's lives. So spread the love, man.
I agree, and you never know what people are going through. Go ahead.
It sounds cliche, but we really mean that. And just know that me learning how to love, I didn't really get into it too deeply, and I'm not going to, but honestly, it really opened up the world for me. That was something I needed to learn. And it's funny that my name's Andru Winter because my heart was fairly cold, and it took a long time for it to, heat up. It was lukewarm for a while, and now, you know what I mean? Now we're burning at the right rate, but, so open your heart, open your mind, and don't be scared, because it's only fear that's holding you back. And I mean that, and I don't mean just fear of things like, the coronavirus, or fear of war, or fear of losing your job. I mean, like, there's everyday simple fears, like walking past somebody and seeing that they want to say something to you, you're walking your dog and kind of turning your head and not wanting that engagement. These are little fears that we need to conquer. We don't need to conquer the big fears. We need to conquer the small fears and then start taking over the big stuff.
Something as small, it's like conquer the fear of don't be afraid to tell your wife or the woman that you love that she looks beautiful today. Don't think about it. Don't be afraid to tell her. Don't be afraid to tell your woman that you love her. Don't be afraid to tell your children that you love them. Don't be afraid to hug and kiss your kids. Show that love. I've grew up around very best friends that didn't get that real love and hugs and kisses from their moms and dads. I know people that didn't get that. And I know people that got it. I know people that got real affection, real love as kids. And, to the people out there in radio land, some people are introverts and some people are extroverts. But show people that love and show people that affection, because just like the Care Bears, that energy needs to be like projected, man, and people need to feel that and watch the smile. Especially for someone that's not used to telling someone that, hey, friend, I love you, man. Like, watch the chemical change and that happens in that person when you just tell.
So accurate, yes.
So tell her about the man that we met in Las Vegas recently. That is a perfect example of what we're talking about.
So we're in Las Vegas, and we just did a photo shoot for our project. This is before we performed at the House of Blues to close out the New Year's. We're down at the Las Vegas Strip, and we're promoting our project, playing our music and shooting pictures and taking photo shoots. And we walk past this dance crew, and there's this one guy that's really standing out, and he's coming up to us, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you guys are the brothers. Who are y'all, man?" And he's like, "Where y'all from?" We're like, "Canada." And he's like, "Oh, Canada." I forget where he said he's from, but he had the craziest. Yeah, he had the craziest energy out of like the 10.
No, it was Detroit. It was Detroit.
From Detroit.
I remember.
Right? Because we went to Motown, so we were like, "Oh, Detroit," and that's where we do our music and stuff. So we were like, "Oh man, that's crazy." He's jamming and jamming and jamming, and we took video of this. So then we continue on our stroll, and we finish our photo shoot. We have a drink, and then we're chatting, and then we're getting ready to go back to the spot across town. And on our way out of the Strip, we see this dude like rocking back and forth, and we could just tell like he's really upset.
He had a bottle of liquor.
Yeah, he had a brown paper bag around a bottle. And I was like, man, I just stopped and I'm like, I'm like, "You're the dancing dude." So we're like, "Oh, okay," we just put it together because we knew we saw him, but it was like it happened so quick, right? So we're like, okay, you're the dude that we just saw like 2 hours ago. We're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, man, it's like I'm having some problems.
And he had tears in his eyes, by the way. He had tears in his eyes.
So, yeah,
Wow.
he was like, man, they kicked me out of the spot. He was like, I was just dancing for money, you know, trying to make a couple bucks. I was feeling good, man. He was like, I was getting the crowd going. I was feeling good. And we were like, oh, bro, it's all good, man. And he just, like, started biting his lip and quivering and shit. And I was like, you good, man? I was like, can I have a shot of this bottle? I was like, because you got a full-ass bottle, man. I'm like, yeah, what are you doing? Because it hadn't been cracked, right? Like, I'm not like that. I'm not like, yo, like, you know, but it hadn't been cracked. And I was like, and we had a vibe earlier. So he, like, cracked it. And he was like, man, he was like, talking about girl problems. And he was like, man, it's crazy when a man wants to confess his love to a woman and, you know, she's not receiving it. And, you know, he was like, my girl's just not, she put me out, man, and I love her. He's like, I can't explain it to her, man, but she just don't get it. And he was like, and I was like, whoa. I was like, brother, like, we love you, man. I was like, you're special. You're this, you're that. Don't listen to what anyone's trying to tell you, bro. Like, we were sent here to stop you. He was like, man, I was about to off myself. And I was like, nah. I was like,
then he told us that he's been looking for God. He was like, I'm 40-some years old. He's like, I believe in God. He's like, but I've been asking God to show me that God's real ever since I was born, man, and God never showed me. And he started crying, and he was like breaking down. And me and Kaleb were basically like holding this guy, and he's like bigger than me, this guy. Like, I'm a pretty big guy. This guy's bigger than me. Like, so me and Kaleb just kind of like holding this guy like he's crying, but at the same time, he's like defensive, like he's looking at me, he's looking at Kaleb, like he doesn't want to let us in at all. Like he had this look on his face, like I don't want to let you in, man. It was like really intense, and we're yelling in his face, like we love you. Like you hear what the fuck we're saying to you right now? What the fuck are you talking about? You're gonna off yourself, bro. We love you. God's real, bro. Then I just started yelling at him, and I was like, man, I go listen. I go, listen to me. And he looked at me, and he looked me in my eyes, and he had tears in his eyes, and he was like biting his lip, like he wanted to hit me in the face. I go, listen to me. I go, if God don't show you that God's real by the end of this week, I was like, do what the hell you want to do. I was like, but I guarantee you, I was like, by the end of this week, God's going to show you that God's real. And, like, we just had this moment, and Kaleb was, like, telling him all this shit, too, and, like, just in that moment, we don't know what happened, but we know that we saved him that night. He had that big bottle of liquor. He was already drunk when we met him 2 hours ago. We know what he was doing. I could feel it. He was going home. He was going to drink that whole bottle to his head, and he was going to pick up his gun because everybody walks around with a pistol down there, and he was going to fucking blow his head off. And we stopped, and I know we stopped. I could feel it. And when we walked away, me and Kaleb, we were like two guys that won the lottery. Like, we were trying to find our Uber. We were running around, like, yelling. We're like, bro, we saved him. Like, we knew it. Like, we just knew it. And we know to this day, like.
It was emotional. It was really, it was scary. Wow. Because it was like, you know, it was the spirit inside of him, like, pretty much trying to trick him into, like, taking himself off the planet. And
yeah, man.
We fought him. But, it was crazy.
Yeah, but you guys showed him that God was real. That was his
And we showed him love. We showed him love. That was the whole point. Right. We gave him that love. That's all he wanted. We seen him earlier. He was trying to dance with the dance crews. They were all kind of brushing him off. He was by himself. All he needed was just another human being to interact with him, to give him some sort of something, to go home and to just have, to get him through to the next day or the next day after that. And, you know, like, I'm telling you, like, when we left him, we felt good. Like, we knew, we could see it light up in his face. We seen the energy go. And we knew, man, and we told him, man, and we were just like, you know, and I guarantee you, I don't know this, but I guarantee you his life is way better than it was before that day. And I bet you he tells people, like, yo, man, I met these two weird Canadian guys, and they were yelling in my face on the side of the street, and one was light-skinned, and I wanted to punch him in his face. And the other one, and because he looked like, you should have seen the energy, but we just, you know, but the point is just the love, man. We had to take the time to put ourselves in a vulnerable position and tell, like, a dude that didn't look like he was playing around, that we love him, and have a real moment and take a step away from everything that was going on and have a real moment, a real human-to-human moment, and let him know what's real.
You know what? That's so incredible. And what you guys did is, an approach that a lot of experts in the fields of recovery and suicide prevention are doing. Like, I've talked to reverends who've opened houses. They created these homes for addicts and people who are suicidal. And the one common denominator that these people, were missing in their lives was a lack of love and connection to other human beings. So I definitely think that you guys shifted something in him, for sure.
We knew it, man. We could see. We know we're deeply intuitive. We feel deeply, and we knew when we walked away, it was safe to walk away. And not only was it safe, it was good enough for us to celebrate and feel good the whole way home because we knew we just saved his life. We got through to him. We gave him an experience that had never happened before. Maybe when he got home, and the reason why I told him that God would show himself by the end of the week is because I knew that God already showed himself when me and Kaleb showed up there. And I just knew it would take him to the end of the week to realize it.
That is so incredible. Wow. That's a powerful story and experience.
Yeah, that's love, man.
Definitely. So what would you guys say is the next step for your career together?
Like he said, pretty much get a studio where we can turn that infinite switch on and just pretty much give the offering up that the earth needs. We have a lot of compositions that we want. We talk about a lot of songs that need to be made, and it's a matter of time. It's a matter of working around schedules and getting into the studio. So the best thing that we could do right now is get into a studio and not leave probably for a couple months.
That's awesome.
Yeah, building our own studio is definitely next on the menu. Having our own studio, we've already been putting together a team, and we're currently, still putting that team together. But putting together the right team that we can also develop artists from our own community in Nova Scotia, and we want to work with artists specifically from our community because those are the artists that are being neglected. And we see that, and we don't appreciate it, and we clocked it, and we ain't playing. We're coming. We're going to establish things in Nova Scotia, and all the kids that don't have a voice are going to have a voice, and we're going to even the playing field. And we're not playing. We're not going to stop, and we will have control over the flow of what goes on entertainment-wise in Nova Scotia eventually because that's where we're moving towards, and we're not going to stop. And everybody knows it. Everybody can feel it. That's why there's so much opposition. But everybody knows that we're cut out for it. They know that we're cut from a different cloth that they're not cut from. And the only reason that we've been given such an amazing responsibility is because we're spiritually whole enough to handle it, and our egos are in check enough to handle it. So stay tuned for the revolution.
So well said. Wow.
My best friend. Go best friend. Go, best friend, go.
You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. And so, I obviously the driving force behind that, the passion behind wanting to help others succeed in your hometown is something really special on its own because you're not even concerned with competition. You just want to help other people get to your level, and rise up. And that's what real leaders do.
What you really said so key, and we're not concerned with competition. And the thing is, we see people who would think that they were competing, but man, we know the magic, and we know that what we have is special, and we love other people's art. We just want to be respected. That's it.
That's right. And be recognized for what we're doing and what we've done. Kaleb and I put every single person before ourselves. Me and Kaleb have only invested energy in ourselves exclusively in the last year and a half. Before that, it was everything for everybody else. Everybody knows it. And I don't have to run through the history. Anybody that's listening or will be listening that's from our end or from down home, they know the work that we put in. You guys know the love that we showed you, and you guys know that we made sacrifices so all of you could have a platform to jump off of into what grew into what everybody's doing now. So everybody knows our history. Whether they want to give us acknowledgement for it or not, we don't care. We're not in it for acknowledgement. We're in it for the progression of our community, because our community, if we don't help our community coming from it, if we just choose to move away from it or ignore it or just try to join someone else's community, then the problem just keeps perpetuating. We're here to stop the problems in our community. We're Black Nova Scotians. We're the lost tribe. We're the lost kids of the Underground Railroad. We come from the southern United States. Not a lot of people in the world know about us. Our story needs to be told. We need documentaries. We need films. We need more Black expression of art from our place of residence so people know that we exist and we can get in touch with all of our cousins and family that exist south of the border, because we are all one people and we all came from the same place. And we're all going to the same place ultimately. We just need to find each other. And we're lost right now, but me and Kaleb are going to make sure that we get found, and we get found in a really profound way that's going to open up all the doors of opportunity for people from our community, because we are a gold mine for talent in terms of athletics, in terms of artistic expression, in terms of academia, all these things. We're brilliant in Nova Scotia, our Black community. It
that
needs
is so
to be
incredible.
Pulled off we're Nova Scotia's dirty secret. I'm going to take it there. We're Nova Scotia's dirty secret. Nova Scotia does not want you to know that we exist. They want you to, all they want you to see is rolling hills, Scottish bagpipers, and that's all great. That is Nova Scotia as well. But Nova Scotia has another side, and that needs to be, let out and not be the skeleton in the closet. You know what I mean? Yes, there is Black people there. We've been historically oppressed. We're still being oppressed, and they don't want you to know that we exist. And they're still oppressing us. We're the only place in Canada with Black communities. We're the only province in all of Canada with all Black communities. What? That's like native reservations for Black people. Like, in Canada, you know what I mean? People think Canada's this forward-moving, because they're in Toronto, man. Come live where we live. Come grow up where we grow up. Come experience the discrimination we experience. Come have grown-ass men and women calling you, out of your name, racially motivated names, or you playing sports as a kid and having people's parents yelling racist stuff at you, on the ice playing hockey or on the floor playing basketball because they're from a community. Like, they don't know, and we're here to let it be known. It is real. It does happen. It's not our imagination, and it needs to stop. And it stops with us. You know what I mean? And we're not doing it in your face on the podium preaching to you. We're going to do it through restructuring everything. And that's what we're working on right now.
That's an incredible venture to take on, and I think that's so amazing and so important. Do you know of anybody who's shining a light on that topic that you just presented right now?
No one.
No.
Great. You're definitely.
There's no light. Right now, it's a dark room, and there's a fixture there. There could be a light, but right now, nothing's plugged in. And we're about to, call the electrician in, flick the switch on. We're about to get a nice halogen bulb plugging in, and we're about to shine some real light on everything. And it's going to get really, really ugly because we're going to show the reality of what's going on. And now that we have the contacts through the entertainment industry, which was, we got there with the vehicle of rap and with music to get us to these places, meeting people like yourself, people that work in film and television, and we're gonna, we have the avenues.
I just want to rephrase when he said it's gonna get ugly. I don't want there to be no threat taken, not like in a bad way, but I mean just when the whole story of the real
story.
It's like when you find the real inventor of something. It's like, yeah, I thought this guy made that, and you're like, no, this guy made it. That's what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like Tesla. Like Tesla.
Serious? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Tesla moment, man.
Yeah.
Real Tesla.
But you know what? That happens a lot. I mean, things do get ugly when those type of deep truths are exposed, but it needs to be done if something's going to change, and let it get ugly then, because it's only going to get beautiful after the storm. It might be a little bit of an uproar for a bit, but the end result is the most important. And you have your writer right here, and we have. And I think that, I think Gerald would be very, very interested in being a part of that project as well. If I don't, if I can speak for him, but we've been working together
Gerald,
for 20 years.
We're not going to speak on it too much, Gerald. We know that you didn't even get a chance to speak on it, but it would be our honor and it would be our dream. And we know that Gerald is a first generation. Well, actually, he was born in Africa, correct?
He was, yeah. He's from Liberia.
And that's what we need. We need a connection to our homeland. We needed a connection that wasn't tainted and wasn't manipulated through hundreds of years of systematic oppression. We need that insight. We need that leadership. We need that connection. So, Gerald, it would be our honor. That's all I'm going to say on that.
And the reason I bring him up is not to speak for him. It's just that I know the type of projects that he's, created and the type of mission work that he's been a part of, and he's very much an advocate.
You know what puts the fire under him.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think you guys are onto something really, really great. I love I have this in my mind as you were telling the story as well about the artists who don't really stand a chance, or it's a lot more difficult for them, because it does remind me a little bit of the Wu-Tang story, because Staten Island was like not even on the map until Wu-Tang came around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was like I
just
watched the Lost
story, and it's exactly what you said. Like
I missed what you said. You saw the documentary?
Yes, well, I just watched like the series, and I saw like the documentary, but I just watched the series, and it just kind of like shed a little light on like the story and stuff, and just kind of put it all into sequence of like the perspective of how they met and stuff like that. And I remember, they were like, yeah, Tribe Called Quest just got a like however many, $1,000 deal, and like they were all happy. They were like, man, we need that deal. If we had that money, what we'd be, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's the whole game.
Right.
Shout out to a Tribe Called Quest represents that.
I love them. I grew up with them. Yeah. It's so crazy because I grew up with hearing Wu-Tang, saw the first few videos that they had, and then I met GB obviously many years later. Well, not that many. I was 18, and then I learned, of all the things that he had done with them, grew up with them, and it was just so surreal. Like again, how we were saying, the universe, how the universe works and connects people, and who would have ever thought that they would have been such a like an impressionable group on my life, right? But they were on so many different levels at this point,
Yeah.
Ended up writing the
even
book
for us,
and for you guys,
we're worlds
exactly.
away from New York, So it's like, and that's the magic thing about music, is that you get a chance. That's the biggest blessing. I got to say this. The biggest thing, Caleb, I think I can speak for Caleb, is like the biggest thing we feel blessed for is that we get the chance to be heard and to reach people globally, and that we get so excited when people all around the world, send us videos and then listen to our music, and we just know that even though we're not there, that our vibration is riding down the Autobahn in Germany, and people are enjoying themselves and about to go have fun and do whatever, and they're in a good mood, and that we're there with them sonically. And to us, that was like really important, because it places us in a lot of places, at the same time, but remote, we're not actually there, and it also leaves a legacy that no matter what, this music's there, and that no matter if me and Caleb are here or we're not, our music will live on, and that people that do love us and that do care and that do support us, they can always listen to that and they can always have a moment, and we'll be with them. You know what I mean? And that's what we learned from artists like Tupac Shakur. You know what I mean? And seeing the legacy that he left, and we always aspire, to leave a legacy like that, and that's what we're working on now. You know what I mean? So we're just going to be working. There's been a lot of forces working against us, but it's okay. We love the challenge. We like doing things the hard way. We're not scared. We're not scared of hard work, and we know we're going to get to where we're going. So, me and Kaleb are in it for the long haul, and if you're not in it for the long haul, don't even bother trying to compete with us, because I'm telling you right now, you're just wasting your time. We're in it for the long haul, and we're not in it for any of the things that you guys are in it for. So just know that, and just know that we're moving with a whole different purpose out here, and that's why our blessing's open, because this isn't about cars and women and jewelry to us, you know what I mean? All that stuff is great. We have all that stuff, but that is not what makes us, and that's not what drives us. What drives us is the love of our community and furthering the destiny of our Black community overall, not just where we're from, but in its entirety. You know what I mean? And that needs to be tied together. So that's how we feel.
That's amazing. You guys stand for something so much greater than just yourselves, even as a team. You know what I mean? And like what you just said, Andrew, and it's funny because I was just going to say that before you mentioned it. It's like when you're in alignment with your purpose, and when you're so aware and in touch with your spirituality and your evolution and all of that, it's like the universe just keeps blessing you with more opportunities and puts you even more so in the right direction to accomplish those things, because you're in touch with your purpose.
Purpose.
That's exciting.
What you're supposed to be doing, what God intended you to.
Yeah, and the only way to find... I bet. The only way to find that out is through doing the spiritual work. And like you were mentioning before, it's like it doesn't mean that you need to change overnight. You just have to be improving every day. Something small,
That's right.
something towards your goals, towards your, who you want to be. And the universe, God, recognizes that. They recognize, it recognizes when you're putting in the work and living in true alignment with your higher self. That's my belief.
You can't cheat the system either. You can't cheat the system either. The universe, it knows exactly how much you put in, and it's not going to give you one fraction of anything, a molecule more than what you put in. The energy that you put in is what you will get out. So you charge that energy up, you put as much as you can into it, and then you just have to let that tree grow and watch the fruits grow from that tree. You know what I mean? But what you put in is what you get out. And me and Kaleb have learned that.
Yeah. I was just going to say also what you put in, and also the universe knows God knows your intentions. And intentions are huge. So you can't lie about that. You can't lie to upstairs, they know what's going on.
Or yourself. Can't lie to yourself either, man. A lot of people are caught up in that. You know what I mean? Playing little mind games with themselves. Just know that your mind and yourself is one and the same. You're not fooling anybody. You're fooling yourself. So just, keep your intentions pure. Be honest about your intention and own them. Even if your intentions are looked down upon with other people, if it resonates with you and you feel like it's what you need to be doing, just do what you're intended to do. But at the same time, don't let people knock you off that path. We all know internally in our intuition and in our heart what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. There's a radar for all of us. And as soon as we know we're not doing something right, we can feel it. You know what I mean? So use that GPS to your advantage and move in the direction that you should be going, and move away from the direction you shouldn't be going, and watch how your life changes around you.
And you both have experience with that, especially I know your story, Andrew. Like, you were in a situation when you were younger where you went down a path that didn't sit well with you, in the end, and it changed you as a person. So you grew from that as well, and it's just so important to not stay stuck. Like you said, just work on it.
Keep on moving, man. The best
day.
advice is if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
if
true.
you're going through hell, keep going. That's all you got to do is stay moving, like you said,
You know what's funny that you mentioned something before that I forget what it was we were talking about, but things that sound cliche. It's funny because they only sound cliche before you've gone through it, and then when you go through it, it doesn't sound cliche anymore. It sounds deep and profound, and then you realize where those quotes and those sayings come from. Somebody who's really lived that. Mm-hmm.
And they're always simple. That's another lesson. They're always simple. It's never a long paragraph. Simple's always better, Say less.
That's a good point.
Something I need to learn.
No. Kaleb, where are you? Did we lose you?
Oh, I think we lost Kaleb.
I think we have, yeah. It's so
Hello?
that Oh, he's there.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
There's you. He took a little break. He probably went a little bathroom break.
Yeah, no, I needed
the waterfall ambiance.
No, I needed to cough, so I muted my phone and I forgot to take it off. I was talking and everything. I thought you guys free spirit.
Yeah, I wish I knew what you were saying, man.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like he hasn't responded for a while.
Yeah, no,
I didn't hear a buzzing sound for a while.
The buzzing has been gone for like a half an hour now.
The line was too clear.
Yeah. Oh, light year.
So
Aldrin.
we have about 15 minutes left, but I just want you guys to give whatever shout-outs you want to give. Where can people find you on social media? Where can they find your music? What's new that you're releasing? So go nuts.
What's your favorite song, Jessica?
Can't Stop.
I'm gonna start interviewing you now. Can't Stop.
Like Can't.
By us.
Yeah.
Maybe Kaleb can sing you a little. Maybe Kaleb can sing you a little bit of the hook. You know what I mean? Before we start telling you what's going on. You can share that voice. Now that we don't have that buzzing on the line, we could just get a little bit. You know what I mean?
I love Verified too, but I know it's not out yet. So.
You wouldn't believe it. I bless the rains in Africa, down on full like the seasons. We're taking the throne, the crown is done. No, I can't stop.
Yeah.
Going on this road, no, I can't stop.
I can't stop.
And back on this road, I can't stop.
Hey.
Wow, what a voice.
And if you want to find songs like that and other releases by Andru Winter and Kaleb Simmonds, please go to your nearest streaming platform and type in ANDRU, Winter like the season, Kaleb, Kaleb Simmonds, Simmonds, and you're going to find some stuff that's going to make you happy. And I know everybody's sitting at home right now and they got nothing to do, so it's a perfect opportunity to jump on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Napster, Google Play, Amazon, YouTube playlist, all these things, and check out our music. And we got a new record coming. It's called Verified, and it's going to rock the whole foundation of what you thought summer 2020 was going to be. Because by the time this record comes out, life from COVID will be getting a lot better. We're feeling really optimistic right now. Everybody's doing great. We have the best team in the world, and everything's going to be great. We're going to have an amazing summer. Hope everybody knows that. And we're going to have the soundtrack, and it's called Verified. Stay tuned, May 11th.
Love it. And what about social media?
My social media is, my Facebook is Kaleb Simmonds, Kaleb Simmonds, Simmonds. My Snapchat is Kaleb Simmonds, Kaleb Simmonds, 1. And my
number 1.
Yeah, Kaleb Simmonds 1. And my Instagram is Kaleb, Kaleb Simmonds, Simmonds 902. Kaleb Simmonds 902. That's my Instagram. You got it.
And if you want my social medias, if you want to get in touch with me, you can shine a large A into the sky from a projector light, and I will appear wherever you shine a film, just like that, man. Actually, no. If you want to get in touch with me, Instagram, Scotian Savage. That's the best place to get in touch with Andru Winter. If you want to talk to Andru Winter, go to Instagram, SCOTIANSAVAGE, Scotian Savage. You can also look me up on Facebook if you want. I'm not on there much, but if you want to look me up, feel free. You want to drop a friend request? I check them once a month. You know what I mean? Put you in the mix. And it's ANDRU, Winter, WINTER, like the coldest season out here. And, yeah, I'm just live from the North Pole. I don't really use Snapchat too much, but if you want to add me on it, it's Icy Winter, ICYWINTER 902, as in the area code of Nova Scotia. And, yeah, that's about that.
Awesome.
TikTok. I got TikTok now. Scotian Savage. SCOTIANSAVAGE. Scotian Savage on TikTok. I got one video up there. I'm going to be showcasing my boxing talents on TikTok from time to time. Everybody knows I got them hands, don't play. So, yeah, that's the social.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, you can check our YouTube channels.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah, our YouTube channel, Kaleb Simmonds. I have a YouTube channel, and Andru Winter. We have a YouTube channel, and we're going to be making a YouTube channel that's going to be combined coming up soon. So just like follow our YouTubes and share our YouTubes, and we have a lot of different content on our YouTube. So get the word out there. We love y'all, and Jess, we thank you for having us out here. Well, I heard of all the great and wonderful, lovely things you've been doing through Andrews. It's just it's a big smile on my face to get to meet you over the phone tonight and be a part of your radio show. I tip my hat.
Thank you, guys.
I have to say thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're both such incredible people. I'm so happy to meet both of you, and I'm glad that we got this chance to really kind of hash things out, because I've done this show with Andru, but, you and I talked briefly, but, it's just amazing to hear you tell your story. But what's so much more incredible to me is your mentality and your approach to life and your loving nature and just how spiritual you guys are and how open you are and how expressive you both are with each other and just in general. It's very refreshing, The world needs more of it. So thank you for being on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're here to be that example. The world needs more. We're here to be that example.
More light.
Yeah.
They need that light.
We're
bringing that Tesla back. We're bringing energy to everybody for free. Light.
That's right. Lighten up the world. Well, thank you both.
Again, thank you. We love you, and we appreciate it so much.
I love you guys.
We'll hear back from you soon, hopefully.
You know what? We're going to do this again for sure. There's so many topics we can talk about.
Oh, yeah. We'd love to talk about all of them, too. Trust me.
And we're all interested and into the same thing. So, yeah, next topic coming soon. But thanks for joining us, guys. I'll end now because we're getting close to the time. There's another show after me. But we will be in touch. Guys, audience, stay tuned for Andru Winter and Kaleb Simmonds. Next song coming out called Verified in May. Don't forget to check them out on social media, on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. And remember to be unconditionally loving.
Good job,
Jack. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks again.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on A Billion Realities. Please stay tuned for next Wednesday's show at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care, everyone.